There we are. What is up, business nerds? Happy Wednesday night, except it's Tuesday. We're going off script. We're going rogue. We got Mike Maharas in the house. We're going to be talking all about businessy stuff and personally stuff and other stuffy stuff, whatever the hell we want. I just saw Elf in Training at Light Masters.
Right?
It's a nice little title for you.
I used to be the chief smudge scrubber. Now I had to upgrade my
You
title.
upgraded to elf in training. I like it. I feel like you smile more than enough to be an elf. Like you've got the vibe to be very elf-like. You've got the attitude for it.
Man, the world we're living in, let's all take a second to smile. We should all take a second to do that.
At my CEO roundtable meeting, we have like once a month, 4-hour meeting, and I had that today. In my last 2 meetings, you have like a one-word open just to like set the vibe. And I was like, LBL. And they're like, what does that mean? I was like, living best life. Like, I'm just living it up. Like, ain't nobody got time for anything but that. All right, we're public. Y'all out there, now it's public. You can share it, you can like it, you can, I don't know, whatever you do. It's on the social medias. Go check it out. Home Service Happy Hour brought to you by Service Monster. If you need, and I just got to say this thing, right? If you need a CRM, if you need a CRM, how did you get this far? How'd you get here without a CRM? If you're watching this and you have a small business and you don't have a CRM, like, how did you even make it this far? It always astounds me. And if you made it this far, holy shit, go get yourself a CRM because you will make it a lot farther, way faster. I like super candidly, if somebody calls me and wants to sign up for bookkeeping, one of my questions is, what CRM do you have? Mostly because I want to make sure it's not synced up with QuickBooks and it's not causing that disaster. And then if it is, we're going to fix that. But also then if they say like, oh, I don't have one yet, I'm like, well, should we just stop this demo now? Because you don't need bookkeeping. You need a CRM to run your business. And then once you know how to run your business, then you need some bookkeeping. But like first go get a really good CRM. We like Service Monster in our window cleaning, pressure washing business. Service Monster's freaking great. I had a Service Monster reached out to me and they were like, hey, love your content that you're doing for us. Not getting a lot of clicks on our link in the show notes. And I was like, well, yeah, because I'm literally telling everybody on every episode not to go check it out right now because it was October and November. And if you're Mike Maharas and it's October and November, you better be out there making money, not switching your damn CRM. Now is not the time, but it's getting close. It's getting close to the time.
Set up a demo.
Yeah, we're getting there. So if you don't have a CRM, holy bejeez Louise, go get a CRM. And if you're in the market, go check out Service Monster. If you have a CRM and it's not working for you, or if it's not like elevating your business the way you want to, go check out Service Monster. Also, if you have one you like, well, stick with it. Keep crushing it. Solve other problems in your business. Don't like create a problem out of thin air. But we love Service Monster. There's a QR code in here. Hold on. If producer Jai guy was on, he would know how to do this. I'm going to see if I can figure it out. Oh, I think I figured it out. Check this out. Hold on. I think I figured. Let me. Oh, did you see how I just changed the background?
There it is, right there.
So now there's a QR code in here. Yeah.
Magic button, man.
Yeah, dude. I just crushed that. I'm like getting good at hosting shows and stuff. It's gonna be like a new thing. Mike Maharas in the house. What's going on, buddy?
What up, Dan? So good to catch up with you. I legit tried to show up at your house, but you told me that backdrop behind you right there, it's not as exciting.
Yeah, there's just a wall. There's just a corner of a spare bedroom going on back here. Like if this was in my basement, I'd be like, Mike, just get over here and just spend the night. We're gonna drink too much and be irresponsible, and then we'll do whatever we got to figure out tomorrow.
Because it was really funny because the way you like describe it, you're like, no, like it's not a studio. It is like my spare bedroom, and promise you, man, like you're probably better off being at home.
Yeah, you're gonna be way more comfortable over there. It'd be weird here. I just put up like 2 monitors up behind my laptop, so now I'm a 3-monitor nerd, which feels really cool and powerful. Wow. But in turn, I have to tiptoe all the way through my office with all the boxes and the cardboard and everything from like setting that all up, and then like the chaos of all the papers that I like moved around. I don't think you could get in here. I think you'd have to be sitting on my lap right now, and that would just make for a weird episode.
So I'm almost starting. I gotta imagine you're the same way. So like our garage, like it's basically a place to store cardboard at this point.
Oh, my whole house is. That's my whole
And
house.
I don't get it. Like I feel like I should call my garbage company and see if I can get like just a can devoted to just taking cardboard from us, because there is that many boxes that seem to collect over time.
The waste companies have not caught up with how much shit we all order from Amazon and Walmart and wherever else. Like
Yeah.
they collect my garbage. I got to do that today actually. They collect my garbage once a week and my recycling every 2 weeks. Clearly they don't monitor my beer consumption or my Amazon order frequency, because it needs to be the other way around. We don't need garbage once a week. We need garbage like every other week. We need recycling twice a week, not every other week.
And wouldn't you think like Amazon, like knowing like what our statistics are on our orders flow, that they should just send us one box a month that we can start sending boxes back to them? Because I got to imagine it has to be less expensive to reuse the dang boxes than continuously sending us new boxes.
Either that or they should just get in the waste removal business. Like they got trucks driving around everywhere. They should just follow it up with like we only take cardboard boxes. That's all we take. That's all we're in the market for. We'll take all of your cardboards. Because if they did come and take all my cardboards and gave me a canister for that, well, all my beer cans and whatever else I got could fit in my other recycling can. Exactly. But those cardboard boxes are always awkward, you know? They're always kind of awkward. And then the big ones you got like smash and fold up and they turn into a triangle and take a bunch of crappy room. You know what I mean?
But at the same time, if they were picking up garbage, there's a good chance that they're going to Hail Mary that garbage can like across your driveway, and it's going to end up in the street. It's just a mess.
It'll get scattered. It'll get scattered around. It's a good point. It's a good point. How the heck you doing, man? How's Ashley? How's the family? How's the business? What's good?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So this has been a fantastic year. But it's also been a wild year. So we've this is our first year where we've had a production manager in title. So having a management team is pretty exciting. Level 10s on Friday. Shout out to our EOS people out there.
Oh, booyah.
It's really
just moving rocks. You guys are out moving rocks and
moving rocks, sometimes getting like buried by the rocks, but it's been a year where there's been a heavy amount of like structure put in place. And with that being said, we also split off our lighting business into its own brand. So Light Masters is our lighting business. Hanging Holiday Lights was kind of our first downline, and now we're going to get into the permanent light game. So we're going to be installing Omni RGB lights. So Jimmy and Lights for Decorators, big shout out to those guys. We got trained up at the Huge, and that's going to be kind of the next play next year.
Heck yeah. I love the permanent lights, especially as like in combo with holiday lights, because you can like save yourself a roof line every year and still keep them as a holiday light client, putting greenery and trees and stuff like that and charge them twice.
Well, and it's almost kind of funny when you look at like there's a delineation between like holiday light customers and permanent light customers. And it's funny because like people that are saying no to like $900 roof line installs for Christmas lights are saying yes to like $3,800 like permanent lights. And like, they're telling you the Christmas lights are too expensive, but they're going to drop like $4,000 on permanent lights. And I'm like, well, I like what your thoughts are. I don't.
Yeah, I like where we're going with this.
Yeah, but your reasoning's a little flawed, but I'm going to tell you that after they're installed.
Yeah. Yep. But hey, they're permanent. Congrats. We'll be back to do the green stuff and the trees and whatever, and it'll still cost you $700. So we'll see in a few weeks.
No, the wash business was one of those years where I think people kind of held on to their money a little bit tighter. So
lead flow was a little goofy.
Some of the two times a year customers were 1 time a year customers, and the 1 time a year customers were now like, hey, talk to me next year. And they're just kind of holding on to that extra $500-600 or whatever. And so there's been kind of a little bit of like an up and down feeling, but I can with confidence and tons of gratitude say that our business is up this year over last year. And that's a lot to say in talking to a lot of my peers across the country right now.
Dude, it's been a grind for a lot of people. A couple people that it hasn't been a grind for, and I gotta say her name incorrectly. I like made her this promise to Darlin Schmidt Thason. It's actually Norwegian is what it is. No, what's up, Darlene? Thanks for checking in. She said I need someone to pick up my cans on the daily. Our boy Jonathan Maynard says, "What the hell did I walk into?" As if you don't know. As if you don't know, Jonathan. Darlene giving you the old whoop whoop fist bump for the management team. Maynard, 20 permanent light leads this weekend alone. Dang, man, business booming like crazy. I haven't seen enough of it yet, and I don't know if it's who got elected or just that we don't have to think about an election anymore. But like anecdotally, since the election, just like people are like, okay, we're fine. I don't like it's like a little bit of a light switch, and it's only anecdotal. I don't have any data to support it, but it just seems like everybody's took a deep breath and said, okay, it actually doesn't matter. Let's just go back and do whatever the hell we were doing before. Like we all stopped spending money for the last 3 months. Let's just get back to it now.
And it's just, it comes down to uncertainty, right? Because like we're going to make a plan, whether you're a business owner or you're budgeting at the kitchen table, you know, you and your wife, like we're going to make a plan one way or another, or at least if you're goal oriented and like, you know, forward moving in life, you're going to make a plan one way or another. It doesn't matter who's running the show at the highest levels of the country. But like, if we're in this weird little like limbo space, like it's like the week between Christmas and New Year's, right? Time doesn't exist. Decision making's flawed. Like, you know, you don't really know what you're doing. That's what the last 3 months have been like, where we're all just kind of in this fog, and now we're certain.
And it's frustrating doing that as a business owner because you're like, do I spend money on marketing or do I not? Like, am I marketing to deaf ears? And we've done that in our business before. Like certain. Oh, hold up, Mike. Marty had to check in quick. Are the kids sleeping? Probably. They were at one point in time when I jumped on with Mike. They were pretending to sleep. So count it. I did my job. I think I did. The 2-year-old, man, I sent you the video of the 2-year-old. He was losing his mind. He wanted Old McDonald. Then it was Baba Black Sheep. And then I was like, no, dog, you got to go to bed. He wasn't having that. He did the old like belly flop in his crib where they just like throw themselves at stuff. And you're like, don't hurt yourself. Then mom's going to be real pissed. Yeah. But I think he hit mattress instead of crib side, so we're good.
They can't out run us. Like us parents, we know that we can beat you in the long run. So go ahead, wear yourself out. I'm gonna be just patient. I know it's gonna come.
Mm-hmm. It's happening. But Marty, we do need to find whatever that one stuffed animal's name is that Danny's looking for. Can't find it. She can't find it, but that's a mom's job. Moms know how to find that sort of shit. Dad don't know. I just told the kiddo to keep looking. Our 8-year-old daughter like has a stuffed animal that she has to bring back to school for somebody. It's gone. It's a ghost. It's a ghost, man. It's kind of like when you have a workers' comp bill that you know you need to pay, and you're like, where is that bill? I know we had a bill for it, and it's in a stack of papers somewhere around here. Like that's the game my kid's playing. It's not a bill. Oh, Terry the Sloth is what Marty said. Terry the Sloth is who we're trying to find. Small sloth.
He's not that fast. So it's like,
that's what I'm saying, right? He's only got 3 toes. Like, where's he going? Actually, it's more like, where did the kids put him? And probably the 2-year-old was the one that put him somewhere because that's what 2-year-olds do. So
you got dogs, right, Dan?
Not particularly. Not as like you would view a dog, but all 3 of my kids will eat shit off the floor, so I don't really need a dog. Like they'll all do that. It
makes so much more sense to it because like normally people aren't like on the fence whether they have a dog or not. So now I get where you were going with
so that it was a funny conversation. Like Marty and I for a while were like really intentionally thinking about getting a dog and what kind of dog we'd want. I'm totally a pet person. Like I'm a Labrador. I'm wagging my tail. I'm sniffing people's butts, whatever. Like I'm all about it, right? And I'm totally a dog guy, but my mother-in-law will not watch dogs. She'll watch kids, but not dogs. And so when we had 2 kids and we're like, should we have a 3rd kid? And it's like, well, we can't get a dog because Darlene won't watch him. So we might as well have another kid. So Crosby, our 2-year-old, is basically our dog.
Okay.
And he plays that role in the family. Like our 8 and 6-year-old girls, basically he's a puppy to them.
There's a possibility this post won't age well 10 years from now, Dan.
We'll see how Crosby does. We'll see.
But I mean, at the same point, like I get it. And the only reason I even bring up if you had a dog, because our dogs, so we got 2 dogs now. We had a litter of golden retrievers earlier this spring, and we kept one of them now. So we got a 6-month-old dog, and her mom is now going to be She's, matter of fact, going to be 5 years old next week. So happy birthday,
Prime, right in
Emmy.
her prime.
Yeah, exactly. But stuffed animals, like they're gone. Like the kids used to love the stuffed animals, right? And now that they're growing out, because they're 11 and 13, the stuffed animal thing's not important. So the dogs get the stuffed animals.
Oh yeah.
So like now there's stuffed animals all over the place, and then stuffed animal guts everywhere, like the white fluffy stuffing.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah, the dogs do a little more damage than the kiddos do. For the most part. For the most part. I can see that.
Sometimes. I mean, kids are damaging their own right too, and they're expensive. Like I think I saw a meme one time. It was like a most hilarious meme, and it was like, why aren't you have kids? Like, oh, I was thinking about getting a tiger. Like, why would you get a tiger? Well, because it's much more affordable of an exotic pet than a kid.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point.
So yeah. But Dan, tell me about you, man. What the heck have you been up to? I mean, I know you share your world every week, but for my benefit, what have you been doing lately?
Well, we launched a tax service, and just for our bookkeeping clients, we're doing taxes for them because most people's tax people suck. And so I was like, I mean, you know me, I don't want to do taxes for people. I'm not a tax person. I'm a finance person. Like I do bookkeeping so we can like coach business owners. But so many of our business owners have crappy CPAs that don't communicate, don't do a good job, wait till the last minute, file extensions, just all the bullshit that everybody knows about everybody else's CPA and probably their CPA too. So I was like, all right, if we're just going to do this thing, we're only doing it for our bookkeeping clients. I don't want to deal with anybody else's shitty bookkeeping. And we're just going to do it the same way we do bookkeeping, with like really good communication, really good processes, really easy, like super proactive, meeting all the time, getting way in front of it, not wait until March 15th and April 15th, and sure as hell not trying to file extensions. So we did it, but I did make the mistake that we all do this. And even though I know it's a mistake, it ain't gonna be the last time I do it, which is I like sent the email blast out on October 31st as I was packing for a hunting trip, and I was out for a week in Illinois chasing big bucks. And then I'm not like checking emails and whatever. And I just got bombarded with emails and then sent out a bunch of meetings. And then I got back. So last week I got back and I didn't realize. So like trying to launch a new business and build systems and processes, started a new account manager for bookkeeping, had a buck that I shot in Illinois, and there were a few of us down there and everybody else shot deer. And I was like processing their deer while we were down there. So I brought mine back in my head thinking, oh, like during the weeknights, I'll get this thing butchered up and in the freezer, which I did, but that didn't happen until like 1 and 2 a.m. every night because I was busy trying to get work stuff done. And when I got back, my wife was like, hey, just remember, I'm out all week. I got people from Germany in town. She works at 3M. So she's got like her international teams in town. And she's like, I'm here, but I'm like going to get home at 10, 11 o'clock. And then I'm going to be to the office by like 6 or 7. Like I'm basically not here. You got the kids. We got sports every night, parent teacher conferences. And then on Thursday, Crosby got a stomach bug and he was throwing up. And then I had to take care of him while I'm like calls. And so like, when I had my CEO roundtable meeting today, like, what's your one word open? And I was like, hilarious chaos, because I was every night last week. It was like 3 or 4 hours of sleep, just grinding, but not like a grind where you're like, this sucks, blah, blah, blah. A grind where you're like, this is freaking hilarious. Like I haven't done this in a while. Like I haven't been in a position where I had to do this, and it's all shit I did to myself. Like I can't be mad at anybody. Oh, yeah. And I'm excited, like shot a nice buck, launching a new service that people apparently really want. So I got to like do a bunch of shit for it, and it's all good stuff. And I'm just like, man, like when am I going to learn to not bite off way more than I can chew, and not check with my wife before I do it, and not do it right before I'm gone for 9 straight days? But I'm going to do it again sometime in the future. So who am I kidding? You know? Yeah. Who am I kidding?
What is it? It's like pregnancy, right? Like nobody remember. I can't think with. I don't know it for sure, but my wife tells me that like pregnancy, like you forget what it's like, right? So is that like is there similarity to that?
Yeah, I assume it's the same. I was telling my wife the other day when she was describing to me what it's like having a period, or she was, letting me know that she was uncomfortable. And I was like, I absolutely cannot understand.
Yeah.
Like I'm not that I'm not trying to understand, but like, let's just cut to the chase. Just like if you're pregnant, I can't understand.
No.
I will comply. I will show empathy, but there is no level of understanding I can fake to pretend like I know what the hell's going on. So just tell me what you need. Like, I know you're uncomfortable. Tell me what you need, and I'll try not to be a shithead. That's as good as I'm gonna do. But
exactly. Hey, so I'm curious, man. Like you said, you brought up spending money, right? So you get to see everybody's expenses, at least, the people that work on the books and everything. Have for the most part business owners that you work with all pulled back on spending then?
I don't know that all of them pulled back on spending, but all of them generally, right? Like, not everybody. Some people hit a weird home run here or there, but just in general, more headwinds, lower lead flow, worse conversion rates, higher marketing acquisition cost. The flip side of it, like, and I own half of Higher Lead Chill Recruiting, right? The flip side of it was recruiting got a lot easier because, like, there's just more people looking for work. And we all, I think part of it too is over the last 3-4 years, people just came to grips with the fact that, like, we can't just post a free Indeed ad and expect to get good employees. Like, we actually have to pay attention to our recruiting system and invest a lot in it and put money into it and put time and effort into it and be thoughtful about it. So I think a lot of business owners over the last few years got way better at it. And then when things got easier, they were like, oh shit, like, this is easy. Like, I've been working so hard at this. And all of a sudden, like, I have good employees again. So that was really funny. I think part of it was labor market. Part of it was just like people have focused so much more on it. So I didn't see revenue growth to the same extent that we had the last few years, where it's like a lot of people were hitting 20, 50, 100% revenue growth. I saw a lot more, I'm kind of holding steady, or just 5 to 20% revenue growth. And it's costing me a little bit more, but especially with a lot of our clients, and hopefully it has something to do with our service and our coaching, but they're getting really dialed in on their business model and how to run it. And so even without tremendous growth, they're more profitable. They're overall doing better and stacking up a little bit of a war chest to hopefully push on growth again when the time is right. So,
that's all good to hear then, because there's obviously those fears of, like, you never want to throw good money at bad money, right? So at the same time, you try to look at how you're making your expenses and not chase down something. I mean, I always look at marketing as the kind of the summer month money spending, where, like, you never have enough money in the summer months to spend anything on, like, cat purchases. Like, that you can't up your marketing budget to get more customers, because all you're going to do is just spend. The only person that gets rich is, like, that Facebook and Google. So it's like that's why I asked that question, because it just makes me curious. Like, I know at a top line, growth has been challenging, but then obviously you try and counteract by reducing expenses. So
yeah, that was a chat that Andy and I had, like, over the last, probably I'll say, like, 24 months, is we see it coming. What can we tighten up without, like, sacrificing growth? And so we looked through all of our, like, infrastructure stuff, and, man, do we need this? We had a fleet management software, and it's like, man, we can get it this way for $400, or we can get it from T-Mobile, where our cell phone is through, for $100 a month. And is it, and like, maybe we give up a little bit, but is it really much? And we had a Google review service, and it did some other things, but we can also just do this other thing for $99 instead of $299. And so we made some of those, like, infrastructure trade-offs to try to just shed some fixed costs. I don't know if it would have, I don't know what the data is telling us. Like, our conversion rate was definitely lower. And I don't know if it was the lead quality. Like, we were trying some different marketing stuff, and sometimes different marketing things just generate different quality leads. But I think more of it was, like, we spent a lot on marketing, some dead money, and got a lot of leads, but they didn't convert nearly as well. But we didn't have the sales team to chase all the leads. Like, we invested in the marketing, but then didn't invest in enough salespeople for all the leads that the marketing brought in. And so the conversion rate was way lower. But I think it's because they're doing a follow-up, right? And you need to do 5 to 10 follow-ups, and they're doing a follow-up, right? And so it's like, it's hard to decipher what that data is telling you, besides, like, we sure as hell left some skin on that bone and some meat on that bone, but which part of it would have butchered it the best, I don't know. Butchering is just really relevant to me right now, because I'm in the butchering season. I'm just, like, always cleaning deer, it feels like. So it's my analogy. That's where I'm going with it.
I can't wait to hear more about the hunting. This year, marketing has brought some tremendous success digging into the base. Like we always market to the base, but it was always kind of done like this rhythmic strategy of like, an email every like 3 to 4 weeks. Because we just try hard to not overstimulate that base because we also have a very high repeat customer number.
Yeah, you
Like
don't
we're
want to
talking
burn them
like,
out. Yep.
yeah,
You want to
70%.
build trust, but not annoy.
Exactly. But like this year, for whatever reason, like we can turn on the faucet just enough on that existing base of customers by tapping them with email, just changing the frequency to like a couple times more a month. And it was funny that we could really shake the tree just enough to like fill in some of the gaps. And like, I'm a little bit like mad at myself or mad at ourselves because Ashley is my wife and business partner, that we didn't do more internal marketing to the base because we've always tried to bring in that new business, keep filling in at the top and then get them to repeat. But it was kind of nice to see that that was a lever that we could start kind of using a little bit more frequently. And now it's going to be part of our 25 marketing strategy to really market to the base a lot more actively, at least with an intelligent reason, like, discounts, time of season, just, hey, it has been a while since we talked to you, and we were really segmenting it by, activity rather than just like a shotgun approach to the whole, 5,000 people in the database.
It's funny too, in that it's so apparent to us because we see their info and they're in our database. And we think they're reading everything we send them, right? I feel like when I host a podcast, man, I feel like I talk about the same shit over and over and over again. And then people reach out to me and be like, man, I love that podcast. Like you were talking about this and that was so good. I'm just like, I feel like that was the 100th time I've said those probably exact words. And it's the same when we market to our existing database, which is we're like, yeah, I'm sending them another email, but they don't, it's a bit of junk mail in a way, right? Even if we text blast them, they're just like, it's just these guys again. But then like the one time we catch them when it's top of mind, they're like, oh man, I'm glad you sent that. Right. And so as long as we like thread that needle of not annoying them and just constantly being helpful, not being like I get some stuff where it's like way too much. It's like, dude, just send me one sentence to say, hey, I'm still here. Let me know if you need me. Like, don't like give me this whole agenda of shit. Like that's just some made up bullshit that you probably AI'd a chat GPT to like tell me how to maintain my home type of thing. But just like remind me you exist. And then, oh yeah, I do need, holiday lights or gutter cleaned or whatever it is. But man, that lever we overlook so often because it doesn't feel like marketing in a way, right? It just feels like, oh shit, that's right. I got to remind these people that I exist. And you just feel like it's like you burn yourself out because you feel like you're saying the same shit over and over and over again. But if you just tweak it a little bit and just remember that they don't look at most of the shit you send them. So like, even if you send 10 emails, they're only really looking at 2 of them. So you better send 20 so that they look at 4 of them.
Oh yeah. But then like I make the mistake to go sign up for like Total Wine's like customer club last time I was at the liquor store, a week or so ago. And I've gotten 29 emails from Total Wine. Like
they ain't wasting any time.
And they don't care. So like,
yeah. And everybody else that is your customer is probably on that same list too. And so they're used to getting bombarded.
Exactly. If anything, I should be taking the coupons out of the Total Wine email, putting them in my Washmasters email and try and piggyback off the value.
Hey, if you get a holiday lights from from Light Masters, I got the sweet Total Wine coupon for you.
Yeah.
Right. Supplies until supplies run out.
Exactly.
What have you guys done any? What's that?
You went hunting in Illinois?
I did. I went like for the last 8 years, probably I've gone down there for the rut because I don't gun hunt here. I don't gun hunt Minnesota. I gun hunt Wisconsin with my folks. But when the gun hunt goes on here, I go bow hunt somewhere else. And Illinois is just like close, big bucks running around. There's enough public land to go bounce around on, and have had some awesome encounters. And we had 6 guys down there this year. Like it just ended up, it's super random. So Clay Davis came down. That dude's just a bow hunting nut. And I've been trying to get him to go for a few years, but like 2 years ago they were launching paver sealing or they were just getting into lights. I forget, but it's like, it wasn't good timing to go. Last year they were having a baby. And this year I was like, you're going, man. Like, I'm just not, I'm going to come and kidnap you if you need, if that's what's going to take, like I'll kidnap you. Ben Smith came down from Marvel Sewer and Drain. Like he and I have been going for the last 4 years. He's been coming with. Ben drew an Arizona elk tag this year, and so we were elk hunting for like 16 straight days in Arizona. That I was just tagging along. I was like freaking Robin to his Batman. I was just carrying his shit and like range finding for him. We had some cool encounters. Didn't get one. Came back last day. Walking out on the last day, we stumbled upon a monster 8x8 bull, and it was dead. And we cut its head off and tagged it and brought that home. So he's got like a hilarious like consulate, like the coolest freaking bull. Consulate, public land, friggin' crazy cool bull. Clearly had been neglect, like somebody shot it 4 or 5 days. It was the grossest, most disgusting carcass. Smelled so like he went back and cut its head off. I didn't want to be there when he did it. It smelled so bad, just even walking up on it. Well, so he came with, and when we were down there, we met a dude named Jesse, who was on the show last week. We did like a hunt recap, and Jesse was just a dude we ran into back driving around on this public land in the middle of nowhere, and Ben can't help himself but like become best buddies with everybody we run into. He's just great at it and like getting intel. And then we became best buddies with Jesse, and he showed us how to elk hunt, and he like got us on elk, and we had some cool encounters, and we felt we needed to reciprocate. So we invited him up to Illinois to go whitetail hunt, and he shot a couple. That was super cool. And then Cole Sycophus and one of his buddies drove over from Ohio. And so we had 6 of us in there just like trouncing around on this public land. I ended up shooting a decent like 10-pointer, 3.5-year-old 10-pointer, not huge, but just the right encounter where it's like it's 5 yards away and it's about to die. And I'm just going to get this one. So we had a ton of fun, but everybody, like Ben shot a decent buck. Clay got one on the second to last day. Trevin, Cole's buddy, shot a nice 8-pointer. And then Cole shot a really nice one the second to last day, but we couldn't get it. It like went onto some private land, and the guy was kind of weird about letting us in there, which I get. Like it's public land, and I'm sure he gets a lot of weirdos like trespassing and trying to get onto his shit. So, but then it caused me, like I said earlier, it caused me to be butcher shop Dan, because I feel like it's effectively like it's my trip, and I like am inviting a bunch of people, and I want to show them a good time, right? I'm like the host. And Ben kind of does the same thing and we're hilariously conflicted, because anytime you show people cool stuff, like Clay, I'm just like, here's a really good spot. You got to go sit in this good spot. And like day one, Clay's got big bucks running by him, and he hit one, and we never found it. We think he hit it, but we think he hit high. But then I'm sitting in a different spot, like, damn it, I gave my best spot to Clay. It's like, and then I'm like, wait, I invited him here. Like, I wanted him to have that experience. Like, that's why I put him in the best spot that I know about. Like, and it worked. He had a great encounter. But then I'm like butchering deer for everybody else because you're hosting, right? It's like, well, let me take care of this stuff. And then my wife dropped on me like, hey, by the way, you got the kids every night when you get back. And I was like, oh no, because I also got a big buck to process, and these nights are gonna get late. But
so you do all the deboning yourself in the garage then?
I do. So I'll like we quartered them down there. Like we skinned them, quartered them, all that stuff when we were in Illinois, and then we bring a freezer with. Like this is a Ben and I strategy that we've perfected. We bring a big cooler and a chest freezer, and like both of our trucks can run a freezer while you drive. His has the generator in it, like he's got the F3 trimmer or whatever. Mine has the plug-in in the back, and mine doesn't have a generator where it'll run when the truck's not running, but when the truck's running, it'll power a freezer. And so then you just always, and like we're staying at an Airbnb close to the public land, so you plug the freezer in, and if you're shooting stuff, you're just like butchering and stacking meat up. And then we have a huge 115 quart or 150 quart like Yeti type of cooler where you're putting quarters as you're like rotating stuff. So we got our system figured out.
Genius. Like literally brought like a full freezer to carry the meat home.
When we went to Arizona, we had his F350 with which then like a 7-foot bed. I didn't realize on a 350, like a 7-foot bed is standard instead of a 6.5. So you got a little extra long bed topper. So we got a bunch of gear in there, and he brought a 2 4-wheeler trailer, like a big ass trailer. We had a freezer. We had 2 4-wheelers. We bought a generator. He brought his Starlink. So we're out in the middle of nowhere. We're like 2 hours back into this public land piece. I mean, it would be like driving across Lake of the Woods, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a 6-beer drive if you're going way up on Lake of the Woods to go ice fishing. If you go way out there, that was like how far back in this public we were. And we're sitting there running the freezer and running and making frozen pizzas on the tailgate with a pizzazz while we're watching football on Amazon Prime because we got our laptops and we got Starlink.
So at what point do you have to admit that you're barely even like doing it? Like
we're not even roughing it. We're just not even roughing it. It's not. You can't even call it roughing it.
You can't even remotely call that roughing it. If anything, like I feel like that's better off than like what I actually have at my camper up at my seasonal campsite. Like I don't have amenities that nice.
Ben doesn't mind having some amenities. Yeah, he'll. Most of that stuff is his. I can't claim to have a lot of that stuff, but we do all right.
So meat gets all cut up and carved up at the house. Then did you bring it into like a meat market then to turn it into some sausage and some ground, or
no? So this is like a new thing for Ben and I too. And you've met Ben before, right? From BBB.
Yes, I have.
Big loudmouth dude that is like hilarious and just calls it like he sees it all the time.
Yeah.
So I got Ben into bow hunt. Actually, I met him at BBB. Kaplan brought him. Met him at BBB 5-6 years ago now. Mm-hmm. And we started talking ice fishing and then found out like he's got a fish house and I got a fish house and he has a bow, but he doesn't know how to bow hunt. So I got him into bow hunting, but he also has the means and the wife to allow him to go bow hunting wherever. Like there's not too many guys that can get like 4 weeks to go bow hunting with their buddy in Arizona and Illinois and then wherever else, right? Like we're fortunate in that regard to be able to both do that, and our wives are cool with it. But he's also like a total full send sort of dude. So when I started showing him hunting stuff and we started shooting some deer together, he's like, so now what do we do with it? And I'm like, well, here's how we butcher it. And here's like different cuts of meat. And here's what we do with this. And here's what we do with that. And he's like, and then you just take this to a butcher shop. He's like, well, why don't we do that? And I was like, I don't know, man. Like usually so typically I would get my whole muscle steaks from the back quarters and the back straps and stuff. But the front shoulders and whatever trim from the hind quarter, I would set in a pile. I would grind some just like 100% venison burger for chili, for tac doughs, for sloppy doughs, anything where you just need ground meat, spaghetti. And then the rest I would take to a butcher shop. And he's like, well, why don't we figure out how to do the rest? So we like, he went nuts on all the commercial grade processing equipment. And now we set aside 3 days and we'll do brats, venison bacon, breakfast sausage, sticks, summer sausage. And I think like we're getting our sticks are still, we're not at like butcher shop level sticks. Yeah. But I think our venison bacon is better than anywhere I've ever had venison bacon. I think, we made jerky last year, like sliced whole muscle dried jerky, not like ground and dried jerky, like real sliced. We have a meat slicer. And so we've got some things figured out. And it is like when you shoot a deer now, you're just like, oh yeah, like let's get like we're gonna do some of this and some of that. So we'll do like 300 pounds when we get together. Like I think this year I'm at 5 deer right now. My wife shot one with the bow this weekend, and that was hilarious and awesome. Nice. And so she's now contributing. We were hunting together. And I think he's at 4, and we both figure we need 6 to 7 each. And then once we do our processing, we have enough like meat for the year. That is all the meat we need. So that's the quota. That's the quota to feed.
Nice. That definitely means then. So like you have a high venison diet in general.
Super high. Rob says I concur about the bacon. When Rob was up ice fishing last year, I whipped out some venison bacon. I don't know why it's so good. I mean, I know what all goes into it, but I think it's better than bacon.
Cheese are the best.
Oh, dude, so good, so good. And I don't know. I think it's definitely the best I've ever had in an ice house.
Why limit it to just the ice house, Rob? You should have it. You should have it over the campfire. You should have it, when the in-laws come to visit.
I mean, maybe not when the in-laws come to visit because you got to just save it. You can't give it to everybody.
Fair enough. So wait, when you make the venison bacon, do you actually have a press too?
So here's how you do venison bacon. And we did a bunch of research on this. We actually screwed it up for the first year, and then we were about to screw it up the second year, but we called the one butcher shop, like I forget the name of it. The dude's kind of north of me with the gummy bear brats. They advertise on the radio.
McDonald's.
No, that's Golden Arches Supper Club.
No, McDonald's meats in Clearwater.
Nope. They're up in like Hugo and on the east side over here. Not Borchardt's. Grundlehofers. They got the gummy bear brats. They're St. Paul and North. And so we buy our trim from them. We buy like 2 different pork fat level trim. Yeah. And then we were making the venison bacon, and Ben and I are both like business ownery type A personalities, right? And we literally got into an argument about how we're going to do this bacon thing. And because every recipe you find online says you cook it to like fully cooked. And I'm just like, it just can't be, because it turns it into ham. Like, it melts the fat. And when we've got it from butcher shops before, you can see the chunks of fat in there. Like, it's not cooked out. So it can't be fully cooked. And he's like, dude, this is what the recipe says. Kent chimes in. Grundlehofers or Grundhofers. I put a "ul" in there unnecessarily. Grundhofers.
Yeah, it's my boy Ken Aldrich's right there, man. That's my buddy.
Kent's on it. But we called like the dude that owns Grundhofers, and we're like, all right, man, like, we got to settle this before we get in a fist fight. And he's like, yeah, you don't cook it past 145. We're like, oh shit, because we got it on the smoker outside. We're like, damn it, take it off, like it's at 148, right? And so that did the trick. Like, you grind it, you cure it, grind it, put your seasoning, and we'll do some, like, I get maple syrup from our hunting land. We tap trees, so we make our own maple syrup out there. So we'll do like maple syrup in it, some other stuff in the venison bacon, and you make a loaf out of it. And then like you leave it sit for 24 hours in the fridge, like, to kind of like compact itself. And then you literally smoke the entire loaf. Like, you just, this big loaf of meat that's all pressed. I mean, you don't need to like press it necessarily, but just a big loaf.
Consolidated.
Yeah, smoke it to like 140, 145. So it's tight, but it's not fully cooked. Like, the fat hasn't run out of it. Mm-hmm. And then you cool it way the F down, like not quite frozen, but nice and firm, so you can slice it and pack it that way. Obviously you got to slice it thick, slice it thick.
Like, 1/8 inch is about right. Maybe a little bit better. And we got a ball here.
Yeah. So we got that figured out. The bacon, or not the bacon, the jerky last year. We didn't know really what to expect. We got some bearded butcher recipe, and then I found another like spicy jerky recipe online, and so we're like, yeah, let's try it. We bought a really nice dehydrator, because we're like, if we're going, just our strategy with it is like, if we're going to do this, we could take it to a butcher shop, but we're going to spend thousands of dollars on all this meat if we took it to a butcher shop, like thousands.
Oh, yeah.
So if we're going to do it ourselves, spending hundreds of dollars on the right equipment, or even $1,000, like, it's still worth it. It's still the same price. And so we were talking about the dehydrator. Like, we spent a good amount last year on one, and we were like, we might need a second one, because it's a bottleneck. It takes like 4 hours to dehydrate. And all the steaks now, every deer we shoot, there's 2 steaks on each hind quarter. That's all going to jerky, like nice, good whole muscle that you can slice. So like, they're labeled, they're in the freezer. They're ready for the jerky. They're ready for the jerky machine.
You got a vac sealer then too?
We got a couple of them, because that's a bottleneck. Vac sealing becomes a bottleneck. But yeah, it's like a full 3 days. The first year we did it, we were like, oh, it'll probably take a day and a half. And like 2 days later, we're just like, shit, this takes forever. But now we have like, we got our sequence of like, well, we got to do this first, and then we start working on that. And then by this day we can start processing that, but then we'll start grinding this stuff. So we have like a mode of operation, if you will.
It legit sounds like there's a side hustle / like early stage small business happening here. And I'm not going to say it, but I'm going to say it smells like it.
I think it probably does, because you get 2 business owners together, right, running an operation. And so it starts getting very systematized. You're like, we got to get our system.
I mean, like,
what are the SOPs?
It is like it's like one step away from like hiring like a foreign VA to like start supporting like the quarterbacking process, procuring the supplies.
That's not a bad idea. I probably could have my VA start working on that stuff.
I actually, only reason I even say that, so for some reason, I don't know why I've never listened to it, but I'm starting to listen to 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. And I'm like a third of the book in. And like the book like came out in like 04. Well, it came out in 02, but then it was re-released in 04. And like I'm listening and talk about like VAs and like foreign help support and like all of these things that like, we in my circle at least, that, it was like 3 years ago.
Yeah, we're just catching on to this since COVID.
Yeah. And like he was talking about it like 20 years ago. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, I may have never been a business owner if I would have had like a couple of VAs back when I was like in my corporate gig. Because like back then it was hell of affordable, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, totally. Joe agrees. Great book. Rob says a good amount equals dollar number you don't want the wife to know. That is what a good amount equals.
It's a business expense though, right? You can expense that. Like
I can. I
slap a sticker on the equipment and it's good to go.
Yeah. I'm doing it with a business owner and we're talking about business stuff the whole time. So it'd be crazy not to.
I mean, you would only know though. You could for sure say if that's legit or not. I'm just kind of
I wouldn't because I'm not trying to like play a game against the IRS. I'll pay some taxes. I'm fine. I'll make more money. I'll just go do more stuff and make more money than try to like skim from the IRS. Here's a weird conundrum that I have though, which is this. So I bought I sold my old F-150 to Andy for the business, which was funny because he was over the last 2 days putting my lights up and my truck is outside in my driveway. And I'm just like, oh, she's still running. And he's like, he's bought all 3 of my vehicles from me. Like we had a 2009 Corolla, sales vehicle, 2009 Ford Edge, sales vehicle, 2011 F-150, new holiday light truck.
Yeah.
But it's at 200 some thousand miles. And like, it's doing old truck stuff, right? It's getting rusty, still running great. And so, but my wife is like, hey, and the reason the truck thing came up is I started looking at a new fish house and my wife was like, hey, we use a fish house 5 times a year, but we use that truck to go back and forth and pull said fish house a whole bunch. And we do a lot of hunting trips. Maybe you look at upgrading the truck that has 200,000 miles on it instead of upgrading this fish house that works just fine. But like a tire blew on it. And then it was getting rusty and like going down the highway, the propane tanks fell off. Holy shit, that was scary. Dragging propane tanks. That's a different story. Andy says, thanks for the truck and the car and the SUV. Still running good. Change the oil. I changed the oil regularly. Well, I didn't. I paid other people to change the oil regularly.
Who not how.
But so we ended up getting a new truck and so like that's out in the driveway, but then Andy's out there with my old truck and I have this like conflicting thing because I kind of want to be like, me, I'm an old rusty truck sort of dude. I'm not a new truck sort of dude. I'm an old rusty truck sort of dude. So it was interesting having the old truck hanging out, but I'm glad it's working for him. My lights, Andy, good job on the lights. Lights are looking great. Kids are loving them. I got the flashiest house on the block now. So
do your neighbors, do they kind of do they get a little jealous of your Christmas light status?
I don't know if they do. I got the blinking one, so I'm just going Griswold on them just to annoy them all. So they probably just
you got like extra fancy Christmas lights.
Yeah, I got they're not like billboard blinky. They're like the twinkly where they alternate blinking, so they kind of just look like sparkles, I'm a sparkly sort of guy.
I got like on the business page, I got like the weirdest message that comes through like last week, and it was like, I love your Christmas lights. Where do I get them? And I'm like, we install them. You would message us on our business page. So
I'm glad you love them because you can get them right from me.
Yeah,
I am the man.
And that's why I thought they were like screwing with me, right? Because I was like, you've messaged me on our company page, and like I'm advertising our light installs like quite regularly. But I'm like, I play along. I'm like, well, these are commercial grade Christmas lights. We get them from a wholesale supplier, and we install them. We'd love to get you a quote. Well, it turns out like the guy like kind of like took a little angle with us, and he paid us to install the lights. He's like, but I want to keep them, and I'll take them down. I want you to fit them and install them in there, and then I keep them. And I'm like, and so Ashley negotiated the whole deal with this guy. But I'm just like, the whole time I'm just thinking to myself, like, I know that game, buddy. I was probably 10 years ago in that same spot. I saw some beautiful Christmas lights. Thought to myself, how hard can it be to get these lights on this house? I mean, once they're custom fitted, all you got to do is just get on a ladder. And man, he is going to be so in trouble next year when those lights try to go back on. And Ash literally put it in the disclaimer, like, we will not touch these lights after you have taken them down. They are yours and not ours. And if you want lights on your house, they're going to be new lights again, But
good luck, dude.
Isn't that funny though? There's that kind of mentality of that DIY like bootstrap person that still exists out there. I was one until I realized that it is not smart to be that guy.
No, you got to pick your spots. I do enjoy doing stuff for myself, right? Like there's some pride in that and problem solving, and I'm adamant that I think like pride is what's missing from most people that are depressed are missing an avenue to do hard work and earn pride. So I don't mind not delegating stuff and working hard on shit that I know isn't that valuable. Like I'll mow my own lawn. I like mowing my own lawn. I haul ass. My wife makes fun of me. She's like, it looks like you're going for a jog. Like you're probably missing half the blades of grass. And I'm just like, fuck yeah, I'm cutting all this grass. It'll be so fast, right? But like, yeah, I know I could pay somebody to do that, but I like getting it done. I like having a thing that I can do, and it's not necessarily hard, but I can throw some earbuds in. I can listen to a book. I can listen to a podcast. I'm outside. I'm getting fresh air. I'm getting some shit done. I want to earn some pride. I got to check some boxes.
I feel that, but you'll replace the trap under the sink, but you won't do a bathroom remodel, right? Like
I actually have a guy. I have a guy coming next week to look at the bathroom. Yeah, I got pretty close because I could. There's parts, but there's just stuff like there's too many YouTube videos I'd have to watch. Like a full bath remodel. Like if it was just replacing a sink, I've done that. But if it's a full bath remodel and you're like, there's a floor involved. And actually, here's what the hang up was. I have like a tile floor in our bathroom that's just in the house that we bought. It's been this way. And I went to the toilet sucks. I went to replace the toilet. I can replace the toilet. And that thing, I don't know what they used. I've never seen a 2-part epoxy that can hold something. To get this toilet off, you would have to break up the floor. There's no way this toilet's coming off. I've tried everything to cut whatever is gluing this thing down to the floor. There's no cutting it. It is, and I've had other people try it too, and it is like a clear concrete. I don't know what it is. I don't know what kind of epoxy they used, but it ain't no like silicone-based shit. It is the hardest, most rigid, rugged, durable epoxy I've ever seen. And so it's like that toilet's got to come out though. Like the thing is a shitty old toilet. There's no water flow. It barely flushes. You can replace all the shit in it. It's like a weird design. It sucks. But if you try to replace that toilet, then you're replacing the floor. And if you replace the floor, then you might as well replace the shitty shower that's in there. And if you're going to replace that, then it's going to change this angle. And then you're going to have to change the sink and the countertop. So Chase Hennessy is coming over next week he was a client of Blue Skies. I think he's still there from a bookkeeping perspective, but he and I still stay in touch. And he messaged me. He's like, hey, Dan, what you got going on? I was like, I'll tell you what I got going on, buddy. Like he has a landscaping business, but in the winter, then he does internal, interior house projects to try to keep some guys busy and keep it going. I was like, boy, do I have a job for you. Cause, for 10 grand, this can be all yours and you're going to love it.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to love not doing it. I'm going to love not being the one to do it.
See, I made the mistake. So we had a laundry room and the washing machine valve broke and it flooded the washroom and then flooded the basement. And it was just a disaster. Mm-hmm. And, we got the insurance check, and rather than using the proceeds to, hire a professional to repair and replace the laundry room, I thought I was the answer.
You're going to get this done. You're going to get
this. So my whole entire off season, 3 years ago, starting roughly at after Christmas and shortly before the end of March, was redoing a laundry room. And it's a beautiful laundry room. I'm so proud of it. And I think it's a fantastic outcome. But it was so stupid to give up my valuable off season because, that's the time I get to recharge. And, so lesson learned. I'm not going to be the guy that takes on the big, heavy lifting projects. I'm going to take on Mowing lawn. I
Yep.
love the mowing. I did all of my yard work and cut all the bushes and shrubs last weekend. I'll never pay somebody to do that. But if
Gardening. I like gardening. Grow a
gardening,
mean garden.
but I'm not going to build a deck.
Same with butchering deer. I have built a deck, but only on like the frame that was already there. Like I didn't put the posts in the ground. Like not that I couldn't, right? But like I've rebuilt parts of the deck. I'll replace all the floorboards. I don't mind doing that. But like building the whole structure, no thanks. If the structure is good, I'll replace the parts that need replacement. And butchering deer, I think is another one where it's like, yeah, I could pay somebody to do it, but there's like a weird pride in like nobody has touched this meat besides me.
Yeah,
that's what she said. But you know what I mean? Like and like I love to cook and serve people, and so it's cool to be like, this is the deer, and I write on the package like Marty's bow buck or bow nubber. She shot a nubber last weekend. It was just adorable. It was hilarious. And so I'll like write which deer it was, and then you get to like tell the story when you're cooking it and whatever. And so there's just a weird pride in it, right? It's like if you go buy steak at the grocery store, you're not like, let me tell you about this grocery shopping time when I went and bought this steak. Like there's no story to go along with it. But when you're cooking a deer you shot or a fish you caught, it's just cool to be like, hey, here's the shit we caught up on Red Lake. Oh, this is stuff we caught over in North Dakota. Remember when we got blown off the lake and then this happened and that happened? And there's always a story to it. And that's fun.
I think that does make it a little bit more special. Then I see what you're saying there. Speaking of fishing, are you ready to change the clocks over to fish mode from hunt mode?
No. Well, partially because it's been so warm out, man. Yeah. It's just been, which has been great for business. Like there's always a weird, like a conundrum for me of, I like it when it gets cold faster, better for deer hunting, sooner ice fishing. Way worse for gutter cleans and holiday lights. And window cleaning and pressure washing, right? And so it's just been so warm, and obviously, like we got winter coming basically next tomorrow. And so I'm kind of glad it's coming, and I'm looking forward to ice fishing. But we got rifle season in Wisconsin is opening this weekend. I still got a buck tag with the bow for Wisconsin and Minnesota. I don't think I'll get out in Minnesota much. But then we got muzzleloader, and then there's a couple more doe seasons. And then ice fishing really isn't going to happen until like New Year's anyway, just because of for me to get like a fish house out, it might be early January by the time Red Lake freezes over. So I think I'm still in whitetail mode for another month and a half.
We got 2 to go, right?
2 depends on how big they are. Depends on how big they are. My wife's was hilarious. I got to tell you this story. Yeah. This cracked me up. For 2 years, my wife has been trying to shoot a deer with the bow, and she's a really good shot. Like we shot archery league, and she got us 3rd place. Like we were shooting 20 yards, and it's like 15 to 20 or 10 to 20 3D animal targets, like but inside in the winter. And I would shoot, and then you can get out binoculars and see like exactly where you hit. And so I'd be like, okay, I'm a little low and right, aim up and left by 1.5 inches. And she'd be like, swap, like she would just hit it. And so she's a super good shot. But she had my old bow, which was okay. And it's really smooth. It shoots really great. Like we didn't get rid of it. We upgraded her, but we didn't get rid of it. It's just a really nice shooting bow, but it's not super fast. It's 15-year-old technology. It feels like it was fucking yesterday when I got it, but apparently it wasn't. And so I upgraded my bow a few years ago. She's been shooting that one. She shoots it great. We were out hunting earlier this year, bow hunting, and a little buck came by, but just out of her range. And then a big buck came in, and it was like 40 to 50 yards for 30 minutes. And I think it smelled our thermals, like cold air, wind kind of pushing down and going towards this deer. And you could tell it was nervous, but he just needed to come to where we were. Like he wouldn't leave this area of the woods, and there's fields on each side of us. And so it's like, he wants to stay in the woods, and he just hung up, and he was looking around. And then a little buck came through, and my wife was going to shoot the little buck. And I was like, no, like we just got to let this play out. And which I almost regretted, because she could have smoked that little buck. It went like 15 yards past us, and she would have just 10 ringed it and toast. But like the buck that was 50 yards away watching this little buck, it's a big, nice 9-pointer. And I'm just like, I grabbed my bow and I'm like, am I going to shoot this thing? Because I'll shoot a 40 or 50 yard shot. Like I'm pretty dialed in for that.
Yeah.
And so we're watching it. And part of it's just the joy of just watching it all play out.
Yeah.
And watching animals being animals. And so it's like, if we don't get anything, what a cool hunt. Like we don't need to shoot something. It's just so cool. And then like a husband-wife date, that like no
That's
kids.
A whole other dynamic. Like that is super special in itself.
Just like you're 20 feet plus up a tree. You got no kids yelling at you. You got no employees asking for you. You got no customers wondering where their thing is. You got like, there's no no in-laws trying to like tell you about this thing or that thing, right? My in-laws are great, but they're in-laws, so I still got to give them a hard time because they're in-laws, right? But so it's just such a cool date. And then to have this experience, and this buck is just hanging up. And he finally turns and he's coming. And I'm like, all right, Marty. Like, actually, there was a point in time, and I think this is what did it. I said, get your fucking ass over here. I said it under my breath. I don't know if Marty heard me, but like this buck just kept hanging up and like wasn't coming. And I literally taunted him. I told him, I was like, get your fucking ass over here, man. Like for my wife, like get over here so she can shoot you. Right. And at this point I had deemed like, I'm not going to shoot him. It's Marty's here to shoot or he's gone and he's just going to go do.
Yeah.
Teresa says, where's my thing? Oh, I love you, Teresa. You're hilarious. That's great. So he eventually like he's coming and Marty's pulled back and luckily we got to watch him for like, I'm not joking, like 30 minutes. He was close to us, like right there. And he finally got to 30 yards and that's kind of the end of her range. And he's come and he finally came where he clearly wanted to go. Like, I don't know what took him so long, but he finally was like, I'm just doing this thing. I'm going to where I want to go. Rob said, you really whispered, you're going to die, clown. I probably did in my head as he was walking up, but I had the rangefinder out. So I'm like trying to range find him and like giving her distances. And I'm kind of whispering to her like, okay, he's 35. Okay. He's 32. Okay. There's 30. And she and I have had enough encounters with deer together that she knows she's screwed it up enough times and she just have to do it. Like it's this weird learning process of like how to stop a deer, when to stop a deer, what to say, or like not say, but you can make a noise to get him to stop. A lot of times you go bat or mat and they'll be like, what? And so she's seen me do that. And the last year we had an encounter where I did it for her and I was like, were you going to stop it? And she's like, I just didn't know what to do. Right. Like there's the panic of like, when you don't know, even when you know it's a thing you're supposed to do, you don't do it because you don't know when to do it and how to do it and whatever. And this time she just goes, Matt, thwap. But I'm looking through the rangefinder. I don't know if she's about to shoot. Like I know she's pulled back, but she's on the opposite side of the tree. I'm not seeing what she's seeing. And so I don't see exactly where she hits, but the deer peels out hard, but I can see there's a bunch of arrow hanging out of this deer. I'm like, man, just did not penetrate much. And that's the risk of like she's shooting 40 pounds on an old bow and it's just not going fast enough. And we probably don't have the right arrow set up and the right broadhead set up. But like the deer peeled out like it was toast. And I'm like, I think you got and it looked like a lower body hit where I'm like, it's either heart, lung, or liver. It looks like it's in the front half of the deer. I think you smoked him. I don't think it got in far. It might be one lung. It didn't cross his body. It might be a bit of the liver. It didn't go through the liver. But if we give it enough time, I think we'll get it. So we're pumped. We're stoked. It was such a long encounter and she did so good. I was like so freaking proud of her. Like it's so fun when you're like proud
really
of your wife,
special, man.
right? You're just like so proud, right? It's like your kids. You're just like, oh my God, it happened. We did it. And so this deer ran into the corn. And usually when a deer is mortally wounded and it runs into the corn, it just goes bull in China shop. Sure. It just runs through corn and it's like you might as well be taking a tractor or four-wheeler through it because it's like you just and that was what this deer did. It ran not down a row for a ways, it just ran at a 45. And like you could see, we couldn't find blood for a ways, but you could see where it went because the corn was just mowed down in a line crossing like diagonally across all these corn stalks.
Yeah.
And when we heard it run, it just mowed, just like just chaos. And then it stopped. And we were like, I think he's dead. I think I didn't see exactly where the hit was, but it looked like when the deer ran away, it was the entry hole was on the opposite side and the arrow was hanging out of it. So I couldn't see exactly where it was, but I was like, I think it was good. And she's like, I think I smoked him. And like I said, like she's a really good shot. Like if she thinks she smoked him, I think she thinks she smoked him, and I think she smoked him if she thinks she smoked him. But you got to be patient. So we gave it like 4 or 5 hours. You don't want to go chasing after them if they're laying there expiring and bump them and they run away. So we gave it 4 or 5 hours. We went back in there, followed blood through the corn, spraying pretty good, up high, higher than I would have thought. And I'm just like, man, he must have been bounding. I'll tell you in hindsight here why that was. And then he got into some tall grass between 2 cornfields, and that's where the sound stopped. Because he was just running through grass. He didn't die in there. He like ran past it and then got down a row and then went back into the grass, and we lost him there. We called a dog. The dog came that afternoon. We followed him down that grass. We found a little more blood. He took a 90-degree turn where the next cornfield intersected, and then he went down the grass row for hundreds of yards down that grass row. And then like a splotch of blood here, there. And he probably got there in 30 seconds and the blood had already stopped. And so we didn't know where she hit him, but it was like really clear muscle hit. Rob Anderson in the house. Here comes Rob. What's up, Rob? Telling deer stories over here.
You hear the peanut butter pretzels? They're not quite as good as Dan's sloppy dough, but
they're no sloppy dough or venison bacon in the fish house, but
the enchiladas though are legit.
Enchilados,
so
man.
Good.
Enchilados, dude. With some, but now I got to use back straps instead of steaks because all those steaks are going to jerky. But
you didn't see my business name, right? Dan's Doughs.
Oh yeah,
Dan does.
Dan does. Dan's Doughs. There's a Dean's. Mike's probably seen these billboards around. Dean's Professional HVAC / plumbing that has billboards that says Dean's Does. And every time we drive past it, Marty and I are like, Dean's Does. Like, is this guy running a deer farm? Like, what the hell is he doing? He didn't think about that very well.
Marketing.
He must not be a deer hunter. But so we got a dog on that deer, and basically just we're like, it ain't dead. I don't know where she hit it, but it ain't dead. It literally just showed back up on a trail camera, like plain as day. It's him.
It's got an arrow stuck in its side.
No, the arrow had come out, but you can see the wound in his shoulder. But he's just doing big buck stuff. He doesn't give a shit. Like he's like he's Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Like, 'tis a flesh wound. I've had worse.
I'm just thinking about the Happy Gilmore where the guys get the nail like in the side of the head. Baby's just like, yeah, I don't know. I got a third antler. What's up?
So hopefully we get another crack at him at some point. But he's a cool buck, and it's good. It's just like fulfilling to see him back. He's back on a camera within 10 yards of where we shot him.
No way.
He's back. I mean, it's been 3 weeks, and that's kind of typical. As if they're like, he's gonna make it now. He's fine.
Yeah.
And you feel bad. You don't want to wound an animal, but also they stab themselves for 2 months out of the year, right? Like bucks lose eyeballs. They kill themselves. They get tangled up and they die. They both die, or they stab each other in the throat. Whatever it is, like when you butcher a buck this time of year, it's got a lot of wounds on it because they beat the shit out of each other. So like they're made to take hits. You gotta hit them.
I've seen pictures with like bucks that have whole other bucks that have racked up in their antlers and literally had a dead deer head
hanging off of a live deer.
The rack.
Yep.
How long it had been hanging there is who knows.
It's nuts, dude. It's nuts. Like if deer were mean, you just wouldn't go in the woods. You just wouldn't do it. They would kill you. But so we didn't get that deer. So Marty still the minute we were done with that hunt, I was like, she was so bummed, right? When you think you got one and you didn't, and it's a nice buck. That was the biggest buck she's ever even like been close to shooting at in her life. So she was super bummed, but I'm like, it's my fault. Like, you put a good shot on it. I just gave you shitty old equipment, right? Like it was the outfitter's problem. I'm the outfitter. Like I didn't set her up right. So I was like, immediately, I'm like, new Christmas present. We're going up to Full Draw. We're getting a brand new bow. We're getting all new equipment. We're souping you up. We're instead of 40 pounds, you're going to 45. Like, and my wife works out a lot. Like she can do 45 pounds. So we got her a nicer bow than I got. And
But,
so,
man, that's not the full story though.
Which
you
part?
went to try to get the bow, and then like Crosby like smashed his finger.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. We went.
And you're like, well, babe, I guess you're just stuck with the shitty bow and no dough. So
we went down to Shields. Their bow selection kind of sucked. So I'm glad it didn't work out. Like it was fine that we didn't buy a bow from there because I wanted Marty to shoot a few different like women's bows, and they got some really good technology now. But yeah, we were there. So the bow tech was helping somebody, so couldn't help us. And Danny, my 8-year-old, they got that like bowling game thingy up by all the archery equipment and stuff. Somehow, I still think she said she smashed her finger between two balls. I'm like, there's no way. Her skin was torn off of her pinky, like blood going everywhere.
Oh.
And then Crosby, my 2-year-old, shit his pants. Walking around with a full diaper. And so eventually we're just like, I think we're just not getting a bow here tonight. Like it's not happening. I did buy a ground blind. I wanted to get a ground blind. And so I did. They had a sweet ground blind on sale. So I did pick that up. It wasn't a total lost cause. But the next night we went up to Full Draw and they had like a Matthews women's bow, a Bow Tech women's bow, and an elite bow. And she liked the elite one. So we like souped her up and she's digging it. She's confident and she's shooting well. So we went out this last weekend. Sorry for a hunting episode here, but this is just too funny. This is like, this is business ownership. Like hunting and business ownership always cracks me up. It's always the same thing. So we go out. This was our third hunt of the weekend. In between bouts of not a food illness, like a stomach bug. My 2-year-old got the stomach bug, was throwing up last week. Then I got it, was throwing up all night, but got up at 4 a.m. to take her out hunting. That sit sucked. We didn't see anything, but equally good, I didn't shit my pants, so that was a plus.
Or climb up some poison ivy, right?
I didn't get in poison ivy, and I didn't shit my pants. Super good hunt. But the third sit in the evening, we went out to my brother has an 80, like a mile away from my parents' house, so we went out there, had a spot I wanted to sit for what the wind was doing. I'm up the tree. It's like an awkward tree. It's a bitch to climb the way we're climbing it. And we're using these like rope systems called saddles where you're like hanging off the side of a tree. Great for archery hunting, but they're a little bit nuanced to climb and she's getting used to it, but you got a lot of ropes and you kind of got to know how to use them. And then there's a fork in this tree. And when you hit a fork, you got to like switch ropes. And so it takes me a while to get all set up. Oh, where did I go? What happened?
So Mike, now I'm in charge. What's up?
What happened to me? Why doesn't it like
top happy hour?
Yeah.
Hold on. Why didn't it like that? What is it doing?
What happened to your bar? Is this a Netflix streaming fight?
I don't know. What happened?
Tyson and I'm
yeah.
What
happened here?
We're gonna fight. Let's go.
This is super weird.
The magic of Hollywood's fading.
Yeah, I know what it is because it did this to me. Let's see. It just like forgot my camera. This fucking computer. I bought an HP and I'm never buying an HP again. This damn thing. It's just stupid. But so I'm up the tree, like, and I'm getting settled in, but it's 40 degrees and windy out, like breezy, and I just have a base layer on. Like I've carried 4 other layers up with me, but when you're climbing and setting stuff up, like you don't want to get all sweated up. You're deer hunting, right? You can't sweat. So I'm like about to start doing that. My wife's halfway up the tree and I'm snapping some sticks by me to like make sure I can move without bumping stuff. And here comes a deer. Like this little nubber comes running down the trail, like the trail that we're sitting over. And I'm just like, Marty, hold up. Here comes a deer. Like, stop moving. And for the next 20 minutes, we stay just like that. And that deer stays just right there. And it's like, I don't know. We got like a 2-hour sit and we're already like 15, 20 minutes through this thing. So I'm like, I'm going to start throwing stuff at it. so I got my handsaw, got a little handsaw. So I give that a whip. And like part of my, my thought process here is I got to throw shit that I'm able to find in the dark. Cause we're not going to get down until it's after dark. I got to be able to like find this thing with a flash.
Beer can?
I didn't have one on me, but that would have been a full beer can. There was some brush in the way. There was like a little pine tree with some thin pine branches. That probably a full beer can. So it would have been alcohol abuse anyway. But I threw my handsaw, which there's one tree trunk between us and that deer, and I hit the damn tree trunk. But that should have scared away, like clang, and then it drops 20 feet, and the deer just kind of like looks over. And then I got two different, like I got one doe scent bottle and then one buck scent bottle, and they're half full. They're heavy enough. So I whip one, and it lands. It comes to a stop 3 feet right in front of that deer, and it's watching it as it gets there. And it just kind of like looks at it. And then I throw the other one right at it, trying to hit the damn thing. But it got caught up in the pine branches and landed in the puddle right in front of it. But it's still like splash, right? And it just kind of like looks to the side at that. I'm like out of shit that I can throw that I think I'll be able to find. And so I just look down at Marty. I'm just like, just climb the rest of the way up. And if it runs away, it runs away. But it's stupid enough that it's been standing here for this long and I've thrown 3 things at it. Just get up here and like go sneaky. And so over the next 5 minutes, she makes her way up. She completes the rope. And granted, like she's on the backside of the tree, exactly opposite of this deer. So like the deer can probably see her rope in her hands going up the tree, but not her. And so she gets up, and then she's got to get around to the left side of the tree to where the deer can kind of see. But there's a big pine tree between, and like thin enough branches you could maybe shoot through it. But the deer just didn't, like, it kind of knew what was going on, but it didn't spook. And then I start, and both of our bows are on the ground, like on ropes, right? So then I start pulling her bow up, and now there's a bow just floating in the air, and the deer sees that and starts stomping at it. And it's like, I don't like that, right? Like, I'm pissed now. So it's stomping at this bow, but it ain't running away yet. And it kind of follows the bow up, and then it's looking at me, but now I'm just still, and I've got the bow behind me, and I'm like getting an arrow out and getting an arrow knocked, and I'm like, Marty, put your release on. And so she's getting her release on. I kind of like slide the bow around the tree over to her, and she gets it, and she like kind of turns it so she can pull back. And now the deer's getting a little nervous, and it starts walking, but it walks right into her opening. And so she pulls back and gives it a bat and gets it to stop and shoots and misses the deer by 2 feet. Like, so excited. She's like, I don't even know what happened. I didn't forget to aim, but I peeked so hard. Like, I was moving the bow away to see where my arrow went before I even like thought about pulling the trigger. I was so freaking excited and couldn't. And then she's so mad at herself because like she's such a good shot, but it's totally different when you're shooting at a target that sits there versus a deer that's walking, and you got to stop it, and you're pulled back, and you're like, am I lined up? Am I aimed right? Am I caught on anything? So she's bummed, but I'm just laughing because it's like just the fact that we even got a shot at this damn thing, right? It's like this deer just wanted to die. We didn't honor its wishes. So I get dressed. I got like 4 layers to put on, which is great because I am freezing my ass off at this point. Like sitting up there with a base layer, 40 degrees and windy. I'm just like, you got to just get up this tree right now so I can we got to scare this deer away or something. So the deer doesn't run away. It just goes like 10 yards, and then it just kind of is meandering, and we lose sight of it. But it's around, right? I don't know where it went. It's a little nubber. So I'm getting everything set up. And one of the parts of my setup is, especially this time of year, I'll get my deer grunt tube out, and I went to get it out of my pack, but when I did, I pulled the mouthpiece off by accident. So I get the whole grunt tube out, and I'm putting that back on, but I see the reed is kind of screwed up. So I fix the reed, put the mouthpiece back on, give a couple, and I'm like rigging that up, and I hang it on the same hook my pack is on, and Marty goes, shit, he's coming back in. I'm like, what? Like, sure enough, from behind her, now he's coming back over her other shoulder, kind of alongside of us the other way, which when you're hunting out of a tree saddle is kind of a weird shot. You got like swivel really weird. Yeah. So she did a great job. I don't know exactly how she got turned around, but she gets turned around to have like her back against the tree, and she goes to pull back, and I see that she's about pulled back, but the deer's still walking. So now I give the deer a bat to get it, and it locks up and stops and looks up at us. And then she doesn't get it all the way pulled back because it's just such a weird, awkward spot. Yeah. And so then she's like stuck because the deer's looking right at her, and she's not pulled back. And I'm like, well, uh-oh, like this is gonna be weird. And she's like in her head, in her version of it was like, I just told myself, Marty, you can do this. This deer wants to die. You got to honor its wishes, and you got to kill this thing. And so she just muscles it back, and the deer's just. And I was like, use your 20-yard pin, because the other thing that happened since her first miss, she goes, you know what? Also, I realized I was using my 30-yard pin anyway. Like she was using the wrong pin when she missed the deer by 2 feet. She missed it. She didn't miss it high by 2 feet. She missed it forward by 2 feet. It wouldn't have mattered which pin she was using, but she also used the wrong pin when she shot the first shot because she was just so excited. So like right before she shot, I'm like, Marty, 20-yard pin. Okay. Thanks. And then she smoked it, and it ran a little bit. And we watched it fall over, and it was like the most ridiculous experience. Many like ends in success, a ridiculous amount of failures. And I tell that long story because this is where I want to go with this conversation is like Marty doesn't run my business with me. She's not involved at all. She works at 3M. She makes all the money in her family. I just do this stuff and dick around and have a bunch of fun with you guys.
She's the financier.
Yeah. But like all those successes and all those failures and the hilarious times and like the frustrations when one person's frustrated or both people are frustrated, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe it went that way. Whether it's employees or customers or vehicles or whatever. The ups and downs are what makes it memorable and makes it fun and makes it exciting. And I don't think you would do it if it wasn't for that. But I'm curious, Mike, like with you and like, how does that go with you and Ashley? How do you guys run the business together? How do you not kill each other? How do you stay married? How do you stay being good parents? How the F does that all work?
Yeah, that's the thing. My wife has worked for me for 3 days in the business. It might have been 4. And I've always said, no. We won't stay married if you ever get actually involved in the business. But we had no office manager, no service manager, and I had to be in a lift that week. So kudos, Mike, and kudos, Ashley.
Yeah, how the heck do you guys do it?
I don't know. So, I mean, like, I'll first preface this by saying there is so many great things about being married to your business partner / your partner in raising children and everything. And I would highly encourage anybody to at least try it. No matter what, if you're an entrepreneur, try working with your wife. Rob, I'm glad that you gave it a try so far. It sounds like you're still working through a few things. But
it's been over a year, and he still gives me grief because that was her 1 week where both the boys were at a camp and both girls were in working at a camp in Colorado, and she's like, "What? Why am I? Why do I have to work? I was supposed to do nothing." Thanks, honey.
Well, to that end, like, here's how I'll start out. Right, we started the business because we'd worked for employers respectively in 2 different industries, 2 different functions. And like, we really started just feeling so dissatisfied with our employment. And we just we bonded over that concept of like, we are better off together than working apart. And that's where it kind of started with that mentality. And that's now literally November of 20, it was November 18th November 29th of freaking 2016 is when we filed for our LLC. So like, we're right there from like 8 years ago. And at that time we decided we've tried it for 10 years working apart. Let's work together. So as we did you give it a like, we'll give it 2 years or 5 years? Did you give it a, here's our pull the plug if it's not going well by this point? No, because we cashed in our whole entire like retirement. Like,
yeah, you committed. You were committed.
Yeah, we plowed in like 180 grand like from the jump, like to start the business. And we'd never cleaned a window or ran a pressure washer in our life before. Like, we did not know this business. So with that kind of being the starting gate, and here we are today, some of the things that have kept us going is just finding mutual respect for what you're good at, right? There's things she's far and away more talented than I am. And as much as my ego over the years has gotten in the way of like trying to be in her lane, if anything, trying to have an opinion on what she's doing because we're both control freaks in the business, there's that element that I've controlled and behaved better over time by letting her do what she's good at and me do what I'm good at. But then in the times where we've come together, we've really respected that, like, we just don't know enough at any given time, and we learn together. And that's kind of what's been where, we just excel, and then we come together and work on the stuff that we don't know, introspectively together. And there's been many ups and many downs and pandemics and recession, or, near recessions and crazy inflations and all of that in between. So I would like to say that if I could have done it at a different time in history, I think it would have been a little bit easier.
a couple less headwinds.
Yeah.
But is it what you thought it would be? Like, going into it, is it turning out from a like how you guys work, success aside, from how you guys work together, is it how you thought it would be, or what has surprised you or stuck out the most?
Yeah, what's really surprised me is how much it's been a bonding experience for us, because Wash Masters and now Light Masters combined have been this place that her and I are going to leave whatever this is, as we move into the future when we're no longer working. Because I think what we've both come to appreciate is, like, being a business owner, you kind of have two benefits of it, right? You have the utility of having a job. So we both work for Wash Masters, but we also have the asset there is the business, which then has been what, converted and transferred our retirement savings into this single asset that will eventually be paid an annuity on, or, dividends, or, distributions long into the future as we retire. But that's kind of where I would answer the question, is like, the best feeling it is knowing that we have built this together, and that we're going to be able to serve our own passions in the non-grunt work of being a business owner, and know that this is something that we did for ourselves, and nobody can, take that from us. Even if the business fails, that we still have that bond together through the building of the business.
Hell yeah.
If that makes sense.
Are you guys aligned on I can't imagine you always are, but in general, are you aligned on the direction of the business, or like I don't know if it's exit strategy, or what, like the outcome of the business? Do you feel like that's a bridge you've crossed and you don't need to cross it again, or is it an ongoing discussion?
I think there's just I'll even just like go back to like Sales Booster, when you talked about the 5 stages of business purgatory, right? Like we're slowly exiting, like, I think, like number 2, like crossing into number 3 right now.
Now you got your manager going, you got the right manager, and that takes some weird relief off your back.
Yeah, there's support, and there's some function happening that, like, it's not just Ash and I having to like run the business in a vacuum. And I think that's the hardest part of running a business, especially a solo operator. But like, at least I have a business partner that, like, we work together 24-hour, well, all waking hours of the day. That in itself. But to answer your question, like the exit strategy, we both are now starting to see some horizon that's within like a travelable distance. Where, like, it was always like in our mental mind, or mind's eye, of what it looked like, but neither one of us really could conceptualize it and, like, outside of our head here in the real world. Now the real world's starting to show that in a real way. But then, like, you start to ask yourself, well, what is it? Like, what are you really working for? For us, it was, we wanted to be business owners. Well, now we're business owners. Now then it was like, okay, well, we want to have help to scale the business. So we hired employees, and then you brought those people in. And now we're like, okay, we need help managing the employees. So we brought,
now we got all these employees. Now what?
Yeah. So next year is going to be the year where we really take that final leap into building a support structure out underneath Ash and I. And then her and I are just the fine tuners of the machine. Like, we're going to put people in
designers.
Yeah, exactly. And then,
I don't,
5 years from now,
but there's one thing you said, just to interrupt you for a sec. There's one thing you said that I don't think is accurate, which you said, and then the final leap. And I think the word final is the wrong word, because I feel like it's
like final destination.
Final leap of this stage. And then you're going to be like, oh shit, there's all these other leaps that need to be leapt, and then we got to leap the leapy leaps, and then we're going to be
stages of purgatory, where, like, when people talk about it, it's like, man, hitting that that 200, 250 to once you hit 500, like that's the hardest stage. But then you're like, so Dan, I hit 500. Dude, the next stage from like 550 to
million's
like
the worst.
800 is horrible. But then it's good. But see, once you hit a million, it's fantastic. Then you hit a million, you're like, shit, this is not easier. This is not easier. Now for us, we have a self-sustaining $1 million business at this point. We turned over everybody last year twice, and we still did $1 million. Like shit. Like it's like
Rob's writing the book on how to make this as hard as possible to stay at $1 million and keep doing it. And like, here's 1,000 ways you can do it.
We moved out of our old building because like when we moved in, it was like the whole goldfish. We're gonna grow. We're gonna make this. We're gonna bring it to 2.5 million. And we've been just at 1.1. You know, like we have the customers, we have the equipment, we have so much infrastructure, and it's like I just need people that will go do the job the right way the first time. You know, dude, we have a guy who he installed like the customer purple and white lights, right?
You know, is he a Vikings fan or what's he doing out there?
I mean, he went blue and white one year, all red last year, which was a great house to be like, yeah, I want red. And you're like, okay, it looks like this is Satan's house, but it's not Christmassy at all. And then he goes purple and white this year. I think he just screwed around. He's like, yeah, it's free color changes, so let me just change it to whatever. I want black lights next year. So this guy was like, we don't have purple lights. Like nobody sells a purple and cool white wreath. Guys, just come back to the shop. It's 5 minutes away. Grab a strand of purple, throw that joint on there. And please get a picture because this is going to be some weird ass stuff.
This is going to be hilarious.
It's like, dude, it's simple. It's simple. That's why I'm at the shop right now. Clearly, that's
why it's Rob in the IT center with all the wires.
Yeah. Rob, you obviously have like got to a place that like I am looking forward to, but you're now just kind of making me feel a little bit sad that when I get there, like
don't want to be here.
It's a new set of problems. It's a new set of problems. Yeah.
No,
it's fun for the first year.
But that's the thing is like when we went to the summit and like the celebrating of somewhere in one of these boxes over here is my $1 million, sales achievement or whatever. And it's like, we should have hit it the year before, but like literally it was like Dan's truck, it's rusting out, it's falling apart. And you know what? If we really do push it to 90, it's done. If we push it 100 miles per hour, which is where we needed to be, that's cool. We hit 100 and we don't have a truck. And maybe his wife right then isn't saying, hey, just buy another truck. And it's the
listen to this guy. And he says, I got purple and white on my house. That's the code to my luggage.
Picture it didn't happen, Andy. Picture it
didn't happen, man.
And I'm gonna need pictures like from yesterday and then like next Tuesday, just to confirm.
But Mike, and I kind of cut you off there, Mike. So carry on if you can remember your train of thought. But go ahead.
No, I was gonna say there's really not much more to say other than like I would encourage everybody to do it, but I would also at the same time let you know like it's still a business and you're still having to deal with all of the problems that come with operating a business. And for her and I, the greatest challenge that we've worked through over the 8 years we've been doing this is having to come to terms that we can't fix all the business problems, not at once, not over any extended period of time. And if we don't find a place to keep that business parked, it's going to encroach over everything. Because some of the saddest moments I had in this company is how excited our kids were when we started it. And we have all these pictures with water-fed poles and squeegees in their hand, and they're smiling and excited. And now the kids really don't like much because it encroaches over everything. The conversations at the dinner table, the high emotions during the busy times of the year. Like I see it in my kids' eyes. And that's probably the part where at least when you're not running a business with your spouse, that at least one of you two is grounded in a world outside of the business.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny you say that. My wife and I, and I think it's just the way the world works. it just tends to be that when shit is really crazy for me or sucks for me, like it's usually a little slower for her. And when it really sucks for her, I'm like, whatever, life is great. I'm just doing dance stuff and whatever.
Yeah.
And so I think like my kids always have one parent that's at least in a pretty good mood and one parent that's in a shitty, like overwhelmed mood. And somehow they alternate. And I don't know if they alternate because like I might be in a shitty mood, but if I see that Marty's in a shittier mood, I'm like, guess it's not my turn. And then I just am like, I better snap out of it and just be in a good mood and like be happy, fun, and dad. And then, but then if she's in a good mood, I'm like, sweet, I can be pity party, pissed off, overwhelmed dad now.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you're both living the same life, that's hard. That's a tough one.
Dude, I mean that's the reality of where it's at right now for us. Like, it was good. I went to the huge mastermind BBB.
Hashtag BBB.
Hashtag OG, which is great because it's like 40% like OG, and then the rest of it's all like new guys that like I've met 2 or 3 of the new people before.
Yeah.
It was still a good event.
Yeah.
I get back Thursday, fly into Philly. Normally I fly out of Baltimore. I got to go pick up reeds because we're out of reeds. The 60-inch reeds. I'm like, it's a big friggin' wreath, right? We got 4 boxes of 60-inch reeds. Anyways, I drive to our person, pick it up, drive down. I have to I'm driving in a Ford Fusion hybrid. I go to Harbor Freight, pick up a ladder to buy from that because I haven't heard from the client that I got to do. Like I got to touch up like 3 light bulbs. I'm like, hey, do you have a ladder so I don't buy a $160 ladder to try and shove into my vehicle that also has 4 60-inch ladders plus all my other crap in here? I do that, and like by the time I finally get home, and like the house or this hotel is right nearby this house, right? That we did. That's 15,000 lights. Just stupid.
Wow.
Like, listen, I'm 4 minutes away. I'm getting more night pictures of this thing. Like,
Yeah.
So I finally get home, and then the next day is like work all day. You know, I've been gone. I go up, light up for Autism Delaware. My guys didn't get there when I needed them to, so I could leave. And like I didn't have a poison ivy rash. I had some crazy rash, and like see the Salisbury or whatever.
I've seen it
chiropractor
before.
guy.
I've seen a rash.
Dude, it was bad. Like I'm like struggling to like move. My left arm's like just locked up. My right arm's like, yeah, let's just keep going. You know, let's just row your boat.
Oh,
but
yeah, like one arm gets all swollen up.
Dude, so we go do the install. Then I drive up to David Wyatt's funeral. I'm 45 minutes late to that. I'm there with my pressure, with the Christmas lights truck and trailer, an hour and a half away. Then do a callback. Then go back to take the lights down from this fundraiser thing at 11, and get home at like 1 a.m. And I even told Tori, I was like, I'm really sorry, I'm going to be gone. You're definitely going to have to drive the next day because we got a soccer tournament basically up where Dave Wyatt's funeral was. And apparently, my youngest, he's like, I miss Dad. I know he's like doing stuff to provide for us, but I miss him. And I'm like, and then I'm here tonight. Like, I'm so behind on estimates. It's ridiculous. Like we tried to sign up with Ashley with One Love, and then like it took like another week to like set up, and then it was just like, there's so many estimates, and I don't have somebody else to do the estimates.
Yeah.
That I was like, can you call me next September? Just go ahead. I've prepaid for 2025. Let's just do that.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll make sure I have salespeople. Maybe.
It's crazy. It's crazy when it rains and pours.
Yeah.
Let me see here if I can.
Can you pull that picture up of Andy's house?
Oh yeah, I want to see this purple picture.
Let's see here. What's the best way? Hold on. I gotta figure out. It won't let me bear with me. I gotta open some windows here.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
Was it a good service, Rob, for David?
It was. It actually like I've always felt like even since the first huge convention I went to, and there was a window cleaner that had fallen and either died or like got paralyzed, and like it's always been cool to see the way that people rally and support. Dave's family GoFundMe got to like $40,000, like crazy fast. And like when we were at the huge convention in Branson, and Ray Burke's guy got ejected from the vehicle. And it was like, by the time that Ray landed in Tallahassee, it was like 30 or 40 grand. Like just amazing just to see that. And like Joe Deveneaux was there and Tim Fields, and I get there late, and I sit down, and I'm sitting next to, and, you know, John Majak and Tim Crouch walk up and like say a few words, and I'm like, "What's up, Majak?" Like, I just happen to sit down in the aisle. Like, look who I know you. And it was really good. And I think it's his the biggest thing I'll say with Dave is like I appreciate both you guys. There's a lot of people that I've valued conversations, but he was so vocal with his gratitude, his positivity. And it was always great because like somebody at the front, I think it was even one of the pastors, who was like, you know, so there's those times where Dave would call you, like, "Hey man, you know, I hope you're not too busy right now. I just really, I got a quick question to ask you." And it just like such a positive way. And I'm listening back to it. It's like, you know, that voice, you know, like, Dan, you're talking about conversations with Ben, and it's like, I can hear Ben word for word, like, "Screw it, man. We're not paying somebody else to process this meat. We're going to buy all of our own stuff, even if it costs us triple." Like, you know, that's just Ben.
Yep.
It just blew me away. Like, it was just like, and again, you both have been in the industry way longer than I have. So you've obviously seen these type of situations come up where somebody that's been, you know, pretty vocal in the social circles, like, have something tragic happen. But it was like, it took me back, and it just made me kind of like, it made me take pause and understanding that, like, as much as we're all gung-ho and excited about our businesses and we're excited about moving the needle, like, there is a fragile, like, existence that lives underneath, or is underneath this, like, huge bravado that we all kind of run around with. And for me, it really kind of took me back pretty hard to think about how fast it can change. I mean, even if, like, not mortally change, but just like a physical change.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to take it dark there, but you brought it up going to a service, and I just wanted to kind of touch base there.
No. And what's crazy is, like, that Monday, my office manager had asked me, like, before it's, you know, I told him that David been injured or whatever. And I told my staff, I was like, "Guys, you need to be careful. One of my buddies is in this situation. You know, the ladder fell. I don't know any more details other than that, you know, 32-foot ladder, electrical poles, and he fell. And obviously Dan had a guy electrocuted and died." And like she's like, "So I know it's kind of crazy, but like, what happens if you die?" And like, right now, our ranking person is the office manager. We don't have a service manager. We have some lead techs. We have a warehouse person. It's like, one, you get a raise really quickly, and then it's very quickly you've got to find somebody to take over as service manager. And you know, we were having a frank discussion that, like, without Dave, like, the business loses so much of its value. And unless you've got a, you know, company, you know, Freddie Hodge, who was on here, I think the last time that I was on with you, Dan, and you know, if Fred dies tomorrow, his wife is going to run that shit. Mike, if you die tomorrow, Ashley's going to run that shit. Dan, if you die tomorrow, I don't know, Marty's probably going to sell that shit off. You know what I mean? Like, she's not going to become a bookkeeper right away.
I don't think she is, but I think I've got the right people.
You've got you're building a robust group.
Only because I've fucked it up enough times now to know, like, the people I need to surround myself with, right? Like, you can screw it up enough times, then eventually, like, man, there's no substitute.
Keep that asset in the portfolio.
Yeah, there's no substitute for the best people in the world. Like, it just makes everything work good. Rusty did want to know, Rob, he just wanted to verify that. Are you an IT tech? With the
Rusty, this gets back to what they were talking about earlier. Hey, we could hire somebody.
Yeah.
Or what happens is Rob says, "Hey, can you help? Hey, can you help? Hey, can you help?" Damn it, we're gonna just run. Let's buy Amazon $180 worth of Ethernet cables. Let's just run these to all these things. Guys, we're drilling holes through walls and running this out there. And like, I'm too impatient. Like, Dan, you're talking about bathrooms and stuff earlier. Like, This is like a restaurant that for whatever reason they plugged up one of the toilets. They have like the crappiest looking like chandelier candelabras inside behind this washer dryer. And I'm trying to figure out, how do I take the washer dryer hookup, plumb that to the washer dryer, which is a stackable, plumb it to the toilet, and then where do I put the sink in the bathroom so I can make like, because like I'm literally, it took us either 4 or 5 electricians to get to the point of putting in a 200 amp service panel. And I'm literally saying like, I don't need a number. I need somebody who will show up and do the work.
Yeah.
We haven't been able to run our big compressor since March, or no, since May. And like, we've been trying to run off like literally like the air compressor that Dan would bring to the ice house to try and pump bleach every day. And it's like, this sucks, guys. You could probably go to dinner at Olive Garden and come back and it might be full now.
You might need that type of air compressor to aerate the middle bucket. Keep
yeah.
Might need it.
Yeah, that has to be in its eye, because we're looking at real estate too for the business, and that's kind of like on the wish list in the next year and a half. And that one, when you told me earlier this year that you'd pull the trigger on a permanent home for the business, that was a big one. It sounds like it's been a gift that keeps on giving for you,
dude. And here's the thing: it's not about owning it. It's about, I'm paying half as much for a mortgage as I was for rent. I hope
you're just missing the big ass sign. What happened with that big ass sign, by the way? Did we pull that off your asset list, or what did we end up doing?
No, we're still waiting for approval to just get it moved over to my new building.
Okay, that makes sense.
And also because right now, if and when we do get sued over the remaining rent, we're going to go very quickly into the amount of cost that I have spent in marketing the place. We'll find some comparable advertising thing for what it would have cost to advertise that place for rent. But we will. I hope that nobody else ever goes from their backyard 1-car garage to 12,000 square feet, because it sounds really cool, but it's really, really expensive.
I feel like saying "I told you so," but I don't know if I ever said "I told you so."
Honestly, everybody's like, "Damn, that's awesome, man! That's super cool." Yeah. And then like I
remember being very worried about it, but you were so confident in it, in the sign, and I was just like, "Yeah, man! Sign. Like, what could go wrong?" It sounds like
the sign was kind of crazy, but also it's like spending at this point $8,000 a year on a billboard, because they work super well. The thing about the building, if you were to say the whole, like, I didn't really want to say anything, but it's like you broke up with that chick, man, I didn't want to say anything, but she's horrible. Like, that was the, like,
it's very similar. It's very similar.
We knew it was a lot of money, but hey, we're trying to get you to $1 million so you can keep paying us in coaching programs.
Well, and it's tricky too, because like you had said with that location, like it's on a main drag. And so what's the marketing value of that location? Like half that rent bill was intended to be marketing, right? Yeah. Like that was why you bought it. And when you bought it, you also, or when you started leasing it, you're also like, we'll sublease some of it, or we'll knock down our storage bill. So I think we always have this ability to tell ourselves stories of what we think is going to happen. And then when it doesn't pan out, we're like, all right, how long am I going to wait till this happens or try to make this happen? Or I got to make something else happen. Such as the nature.
How often do you throw like you throw a large amount of money to try and solve a problem when like the actual root problem was a much smaller number of money? Like I think to us, like earlier this year, we had a van go out and it was like $2,500 or something to get the van repaired. But then like we went and bought like a $23,000 van because it was like immediately fixes getting a van back on the road. Because you're thinking every day that van's out on the road, it's $5 or $2,000. So all of a sudden you're at $23,000 after 7 days of it not being on the road. So that's the story you sell yourself.
Yeah, I'm not being paid to promote the huge convention. Okay, just want to throw that out there. Yeah. But because it's all this is the third time we were at one of them, and like our Dodge Ram, like the transmission gave out, and it was like, I get back and the guy's like, dude, why in the world are you paying for a new transmission? I can put a transmission on my credit card. I could not pay for a new vehicle. Like the truck should, I mean, granted, it worked out. It ended up, or transmission or engine, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. It was like $3,000. I was like, I can put $3,000 on my Capital One card right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do this.
I can't put, $12,000 on my Capital One. Now, I could now, but that'd be really dumb. But yeah.
It is. It's always tricky. You're always trying to like make those trade-offs, and I think some of the worst times in business are when you have two really good choices to weigh between, or two really bad choices to weigh between, and it's just like, what's the least worst? It's just like you get in those traps. You get in those traps with equipment. You get in those traps with employees. You get in those traps with customers. Those are like the least favorite times of being a business owner.
Dan, I think that you should almost double click on that right there, just to say there should be a whole training program on how to like prepare a business owner for making what's the least worst of the two decisions I have to make. Because I'm telling you,
category.
What's the worst that's going to happen?
A third of your business problems is just being functionally trained how to handle those situations, or at least evaluate them.
Yep. And they're always nuanced. They're always but this person has produces really well, right? Especially with employees. It's like, they produce so well, or they do this so well, right? And we like tell ourselves a story of why they're going to work out. And then we just fire them later. Or then we just get rid of that building later, or then we get rid of that vehicle later after like spending shitloads of money on something. And hindsight's always 20/20, right? We don't reminisce on the times we get it right, but we beat ourselves up over the times we get it wrong.
I never do that. I never dwell on the screw ups that I've had.
No, it's never happened.
I don't blog that in an internal Google document that just makes me cry every time I look at it. Do you guys do that too, or is it just
again, like I said, like we get to play that highlight reel like over the dinner table, at breakfast, morning coffee. Like we hash those problems out between the two of us a lot more than I'd like to admit.
But I think that the biggest thing that, like, when we're praying at night, I'm always so often praying for wisdom in the business.
Yeah.
Like it's not like wisdom, and my wife is constantly praying for good employees. Like those are two things that it's like, listen, we just want better employees, and I need help to make the right decisions. And yeah,
there's a lot to be said about that one. That's a winner if you can plug that one.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm just a oblivious, stupid optimist, because sometimes I feel like that, because like I try to force a good attitude, even when a good attitude probably isn't the right move. I'm just like, ha ha ha. Like I said earlier, Mike, I'm just a Labrador, man. I'm just sniffing butts and like just doing Labrador shit.
I'm just sniffing butts.
I'm just sniffing butts.
Please,
carve that baby out.
That part.
Put that in the bookkeeping bite.
I'm just a Labrador.
I'm just a Labrador. I'm just wagging my tail, sniffing butts, man. I'm just happy to be here. I love everybody. Sniffing crotches. I'm that dog that's coming right into your crotch and it's just like, what's up? I'm getting inappropriate immediately. But I do one of the things I've like super come to peace with is, and part of it was the journey of exiting my former partnership, and just the how much that sucked and how much I hated that process. And so like starting this new business and being like, this is just like, no matter what, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
And it's up to me. And now it's fully up to me. And so no other metrics, no other goals besides like the only metric we track is client attrition. The only thing that sucks in our business is if we lose clients.
Yeah. I
don't care about our revenue. I don't care about our profit. I don't care about our margin structure. I know it, right? I'm a fucking bookkeeper. It's all I do. Like, I'm not oblivious to it. I watch it like
you know how to run that report,
but I don't care about it. It's not what drives me. It's not what motivates me. the time I spend with my family, being out with my wife when she shoots a deer with the bow. That's some cool shit. And like being able to do hunting trips with buddies and ice fishing trips with business buddies and all that stuff. But in the business, always enjoying the journey. Like when shitty stuff happens and I'm like communicating to the team, it's like, this is fun. This is what it's all about, right? Like, look at all the shitty stuff we have going on right now. Like we got so much cool stuff to work on and overcome. How sweet is that, right? And just like keep bringing the positive vibes, because there's so much stuff that's out of our control. And the only thing we control is what we're going to do from here forward, right? That's all we can control, because anything we're going to get stewed up about has already happened anyway. And I've done a really good job of that in this business in probably to a fault, all metrics out the window. And like, I know people, all KPIs and metrics, like, no, there's only one that matters. Do your clients love you or not?
Yeah.
And if your clients love you, it's a sign that your employees are really good, because clients won't love you if your employees suck.
Yeah.
So that tells you you're priced right, priced fair if your clients love you. And if they're not leaving and they keep coming back, and Mike, you mentioned earlier, like we all thrive, especially in a bookkeeping business, even more so because it's recurring, but like we thrive on repeat business. We need repeat business. Our businesses are based on repeat business. So if we can do that, that's really the one metric that matters.
Mm-hmm.
And the money, if we do that right, this is easy for me to say because my wife makes the money in our family. So it's a little different for me. I'm not trying to throw that out the window. I've probably got a longer runway because of that. But if we do that right, the money comes, and it always does, because people pay you when you help them. That's just
so there's a couple of qualifiers, right? So number one, you're talking to Rob and I at the busiest time, and we've been up to our ass in alligators for like 90 straight days, right? So
yeah, it's also my slower season right now, and I've been bow hunting a lot. So sorry.
Yeah, so if there's a time that Rob and I are going to have just a small little deficit in the optimism fuel bucket, like,
hey, put on your Santa hat and get your ass back out there. There's holiday lights.
Because I promise you, come like mid-March when we're like ready to kick the season off, we are ready and motivated, and optimism is going to be strong. So let's revisit this podcast and this conversation mid-March.
Yeah, and by March I'll be like, this season sucks. I hate this time of year.
Exactly.
This is garbage. I need a vacation.
Exactly. So I'm going to qualify it with that. But then at the same time, like, there is certain things that I talk about how my kids have not fallen in love with the business, but the example we set is real. So last Saturday, my oldest daughter told us that she had an interview. So she already got her first job doing seasonal work at an apple orchard locally, right?
Nice.
And the work came to an end, and she also didn't tell us that she was getting that job. She just told us she got hired, and it was amazing. And now last Saturday, she was told us that to bring her to an interview, and she got hired again. And she was emailing the housekeeping manager at the local hotel to get a job doing housekeeping work on the weekends. And she got her own job and her own money. Right. And that's the kind of stuff that, like, I know for a fact that because of our hustle and our initiative that we put into our professional lives, that it's spilling over into her. And she sees what it looks like, and it's easy for her to take action like that.
Yeah, she's not afraid of working hard. She's like, yep, we
no.
just work hard. Maybe I don't want to do the same hard work you want to do, but I know you need to work hard. So where do I want to go work hard?
Exactly. And there's no fear of like taking action. There's no fear of like rejection or showing up. Like all of these things that, like, when I was 14, it was terrifying to think about getting a job or showing up to interview. It was nothing to her.
Super.
You know, so I know for a fact that, like, there is a positive impact beyond the financial gains and the legacy gains of being a business operator that my kids are going to enjoy and they're going to take on. So I
don't know that they'll enjoy it. I don't think they realize it, right? They won't realize it until they're in their 20s, and then they'll be like, right now they'll probably punish you for it. They won't let you. They'll act like you're a villain about it. When they're in their 20s, they're gonna be like, holy shit, you guys, thank you. Yeah. Right? Like, that's where you start to, when you're in your 20s, you start to realize how the world works, and you're like, oh my God, my parents, like,
exactly,
we're way better than I gave them credit for.
I was in your 20s?
I'll say like late teens, early 20s when I was in college and I had to start buying all my own shit when I was like, oh shit, my parents were pretty much always right. Like there's some things I disagree with them on, but they had really good sound principles for why they were trying to teach me what they teach me.
Exactly.
Dude, my mom won't watch this, but Dan, when you come down here, my mom will meet you. She will find out who your kindergarten teacher was. Like she is the queen.
Wait, do I need to go look up who my kindergartner teacher?
I don't even know. She will ask you so many questions, but it's awesome because my mom cares.
That's so good.
She is why
she doesn't care. She doesn't care about your IT situation, clearly.
No, but my mom would help me run this Ethernet cable through whatever ductwork, wherever. She'd
figure that shit out.
And it's fun because like she's like, hey, I tried using the circular saw to cut the spot for the shelf. It keeps kicking back. I'm not going to lose a leg. You can do this later. You could lose a leg.
Yeah, you can come and lose a leg. I don't want to lose a leg though. Not today, Rob.
But it is, man. It's one of those things where like, as a kid, it was always, they want to power wash the house. This is what it'll cost from the company. We'll go rent the pressure washer. Let's go do that. Mm-hmm. We want to convert our third floor into a game room. Cool. How much does it cost to insulate? Okay. Rob, you're going to get paid a third of that. And you're going to insulate the attic. And so like, we're just learning stuff. And like, that's where it didn't cost much. Like if we screwed it up, like, so be it. And it's also one of my biggest downfalls at the end of the day is that like, sure, I can put in a bathroom. I can build a truck. Like, I need to not do those things. Like my office manager.
It's hard not to. It's hard
no,
not to.
Well, my office manager tonight, she's like, we just need to build a sales team and you just be the service manager. I was like, I don't want to be that. Like, I can do it. I've spent 15 years plus as the service manager because I've managed all of it. Like,
yeah, I've worked my way out of that job yet.
I need like if I'm not because like as an owner, you're never going to get out of sales. You're never going to get out of it. Unless you've literally like just straight up walked away, because there will still be those things where it just gets, especially like Mike with you and Ashley, like you could have the best salesperson in the world. And like, we got a call today. Can you clean our copper roof? And my office manager's like, can we? I was like, I can go look at it and I'll have to be the one who does it. Yeah. And we're going to charge an ass load of money.
There's like, do we want to deal with it? And then that real question is, do I want to deal with the nuance of a one-off?
Yeah, there's nothing about letting go of the sales position in the company that gives me comfort. And that one right there is something that like you hit it right there, Rob. Like, especially as the tickets and the projects become more complex and more challenging, as the business kind of takes on greater aptitude of those type of skills. Mm-hmm. And I would be terrified to send somebody, even if they were like a great paid salesperson, to go and have those conversations on behalf of the business.
I had an interesting revelation when I was at Blue Skies about sales, because we got to a little over $1 million in bookkeeping, and I had to get a salesperson to start doing the demos. And he had the skills. He even grew up in a family that ran a small business. Like, he knew the business side of it. They did like landscaping stuff. He knew the business side of it. And that was why I was like, okay, good. You're going to like know how our clients are. Like, you grew up like this. But he kept trying to sell stuff. And like, sales is a weird nuance where the more you try to sell, the worse you are. The better you are at listening, the better you sell. The more you ask questions, the better you sell. The more you are an expert of the thing, the better you sell. It is really hard to sell shit that you don't care about or don't understand or whatever. And I came to this realization because when I'm on a bookkeeping demo, I don't sell shit. I literally do some things to try to convince the person to not hire us. And in hindsight, it's a total trust building thing, which is a sales tactic, right? But it's like, but at the same time, I don't want you to hire us if it's not for the right reasons, because it's never going to work out. And then that's going to suck because you're going to fire us and then you're going to be unhappy and you're going to post it on Facebook, and that's awful for us. Like, we need to be able to crush it for you. And if we can't, we need to be able to tell you that we can't so that you don't hire us. Like, it's super important that you're the right type of customer and we're the right type of vendor to be able to do the work for you. And so my realization was this, which is we don't need salespeople. We need demo specialists.
Yeah.
And in pressure washing or holidays, we don't need a salesperson. We need somebody that can go demonstrate. They don't need to sell anything because our leads are generally coming to us, right? Like, a salesperson has to go knock doors and get out there and generate their own leads. But in most of our cases, we're already doing the marketing to get our own leads. In my case, I do a podcast, right? And I go to live events and I do other things to try to generate leads. And so people are reaching out to me. And when they reach out to me, they have already generally decided they are really interested in our service.
I was so on the fence. I mean, I just wasn't sure.
Yeah, I just need to set, like, it's really an expectation setting thing. And to set good expectations, and actually recruiting is the same exact thing. And it's why I do group interviews the way I do them. I don't ask any questions anymore. I do a sales presentation. I'm sales in quotes, but like, don't ask a single question. I just do only expectation setting. Here's the good. Here's the bad. Here's what works. Here's what doesn't work. Here's how this all goes. Let me ask you a bunch of questions about like how your business works, right? When I do a demo, it's like, let me ask you a bunch of questions to make sure I understand exactly what you're looking for. And then let me demonstrate to you how this goes. But I'm not going to try to convince you to use it. I'm going to try to convince you to not use it so that when you do opt in, you're fucking sure. Like, you decided. And I actually do the same with recruiting. I'm like, I am not going to choose any of you. You have to choose me.
Yeah.
You're committing to me. I'm not going to hire you. You have to commit to me. And then when the timing works out and you work here, this is your choice. Like, you better be so bought in. Like, I show them my core values, and I do this on our group interview, and like, mine's digital because I'm in bookkeeping, but I'm like, here's our core values. I'm going to tell some stories about this. Storytelling is what sells, right? Like, that's what like gets people, the stories. So hence why I was telling deer stories for like a fucking hour earlier. But like people love stories, right? And when they're interested, they're like nodding their head and they're coming along, right? And so when I do our core values, I'm like, here's the deal, you guys. I'm going to go through our core values. I'm going to tell you some stories about them. And if your reaction is, oh, that's neat, Dan, like, those are cool. Yeah, I get those. Do not work here. You are not work here. You can't work here. You're not going to love it here. And if this is the job for you, like, you have to love it here. If I go through these core values and your reaction is, fuck yeah. And I say that, I'm like, your reaction to these core values has to be, fuck yeah. I'm going wherever you go. I'm coming and we're doing this thing and I'm all in. Like, if that's your reaction, then like, hear me out the rest of the way. If that's not your reaction, just sign off this call right now.
Well, that Dan Sullivan book, 10X is easier than 2X. He talks about like recruiting and how like you should always be a buyer and never a seller in your like recruiting. Like, you need to buy that person, not sell your job on that person.
I think it's the exact opposite. I think you need to sell your job. You don't need to buy them. They need to buy you. If they buy you, they are fully committed. If you buy them, it's just a job to them. If you choose them, they're just a job, and they're going to leave the minute somebody else buys them for more.
Okay.
I think it's the exact opposite in my experience.
But here's, and I'll agree. And at the same time though, Dan, and granted, I know you said you did this at Blue Skies, like with actual service employees. And doing the group interviews is awesome to do it that way.
I didn't do that at Blue Skies, and that's why my employees.
You guys did group interviews with like Andy, right? Didn't Andy do like for Blue Skies services, not like
for Kahuna?
Yeah, Kahuna.
Yeah, so he does. I think he still does them. I don't know.
So we do our interview gauntlets and whatnot, but like I think that's the big difference is like when I watched you doing your group interview for the bookkeeping aspect, you do have people that they're still people. They largely have more of their shit together than the average power washing Christmas lights technician does. You know, that's just the reality of it. If they can understand QuickBooks, they might actually have a debit card. You know, there might be all those other like basic things. You're
a little bit upstream in the employee pool, Dan.
and like, and so that's the it's been great. Like we switched to HireBus, and dude, the amount of applicants that my office is processing now is insane.
Just cranked.
But it's still wading through the entire. It's all of Red Lake full of shit.
But it has to be. It has to be. Like, and that's okay. You just got to get through them as fast as fucking possible. You need 1,000 of them. I need 500. You need 1,000. At least.
I don't want to tell my office manager that. She's going to be really pissed.
But that's why you have HireBus, right? HireBus does the 1,000. The 1,000 gets you to 50. Yeah. Like, I need 500 to get to 50 really good ones. And I keep right now, like the reason we launched taxes, I had a guy that applied to be an account manager, and I was like, you're going to be great here, Jeff. I have 10 people already lined up in front of you that I can't hire yet. So I probably can't hire you for 6 months to a year, depending on like where you are in those 10 people that were out of the 500 I've already gone through. So I like having that leverage, but also then it allowed me to be like, oh, you have a bunch of tax experience. Well, if you want to do some taxes, I got some tax stuff for you. Sure. But I think like as long as you can build that bench and get through those people efficiently, HireBus or Hire Lead Chill or whatever it is, right? It's like you have to have a mechanism to get hundreds, if not thousands of applicants and get through them really efficiently in the best way possible so you can get rid of 90% of them. Because we know 90% of them are going to be bad, and that's fine. It is what it is. This is the way recruiting works nowadays. You just got to you have to get enough of those so that the 10% that are left are worth putting through like the real funnel, if you will. And and I think the problem that I see most people get hung up on is they don't want to spend $1,000 to go get those applicants. Shit, one year Andy and I spent $30,000 on job ads to go get those applicants during COVID. It was the best money we ever spent. We grew from 700,000 to like 1.3 million. Like that's that, because we had the best. We went from like 7 employees to 13 employees. Granted, we hired 40, right? We only kept 10 of them over time, but it was the best investment we ever made because marketing is so easy when you have the best employees. Marketing is really easy. But marketing sucks when you don't know if your employees are going to show up. Like you can't grow when you don't know if your employees are going to show up. And so just get thousands of them.
Mike, what's your attendance bonus right now? Do you have an attendance bonus for the month?
Not getting fired.
You're talking to me, Rod?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. So we offer an absentee bonus of it's $100 in May and $100 in October. And for whatever reason, that $100 has people like on edge, and nobody like missed a single day or was late in either of those months.
So was it Dave Felt does like a $500 for October and November, or 1,000, whatever. He's like, are you $1,000 sick today, or are you gonna just show up anyways?
Isn't that funny? I was sitting in his office when he told me that. My eyes got as big as pizza pans because I was like, you give away $1,000 just for them to show up on time?
Mike, we do $250.
I think we did 500. I don't know if Andy still does it, but for a while we were doing 500.
For October, 2 people got it. 2 people out of, we employed like I think a total of 15 people that were possibly eligible. We're down to half our staff is eligible as of right now. And it's insane. Like, and that's where it's really hard, like with the staff, and you're like, so we have to carry like 2 or 3 extra people. Like if everybody showed up every day, we could get by with what we have. But because, one guy's out for this reason and another guy's out for that reason. And then, well, we've lost 2 lead techs. So Rob's on the truck. I'm in here sending estimates right now because I spent all day in the business. I didn't do jack squat, on the business. Like that's the maddening part of it, is that even literally just paying. And
even if you're sending estimates, you're still in the business. You're just doing a different job in the business.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll take that.
It's the job you want right now.
Is $6,000. If I get my 10% commission, which I don't ever pay myself my sales commissions, that's $600 for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely didn't make that today. Huh?
So we have this industry, right? We're the pressure wash and window cleaning holiday lights industry. The problems we're talking about are fairly universal wherever you stand in the country. Like, is that the reason why there's not a national business, a national brand that owns this whole entire space? Like, is because that is just such a low caliber of talent doing the frontline work?
Well,
I mean, like,
I mean,
I've always questioned that why there's not a national brand that's already just taken the space over.
But to name drop, I mean that's why Tommy Mello looked at all the stuff with the garage doors. He went after Pat Clark and was like, let's go deep into this. And then basically private equity and his other really smart people near him said, no.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Like, and I'm sure they added expletives before and after that. And just the average ticket, granted, the Christmas lights average ticket is awesome. And he looked at that, and I think, quite frankly, it's a good add-on for most businesses other than Dan's at this point. Hey,
don't add
bookkeeper, would you like to go screw in some light bulbs instead of just yeah? But I mean, I think that's like that's the big challenge is with what we're doing. Yeah, if you can solve the employee problem or the employee aspect of the business, then yeah, everything else is great. Like my man, I've talked to her about. She's like, I was like, what do we do to like? How do we wave a magic wand and get great people? She's like, Rob, I just work here. I can't. Like, I'm just answering the phone calls. I don't know.
I just work here. I don't solve problems and make the business better.
And she's great.
Yeah. Heart.
Yeah. But I mean, it is frustrating to everybody. But like step back out of it, right? Like you guys are both emotional about it. You're both in the meat of the season. Yeah. It's just a fucking math problem, you guys. It's just a numbers game. If you get 1,000 applicants, I guarantee there's one good employee in there. So what does it cost you to get 1,000 applicants? If it's $3,000 to get 1,000 applicants,
but
you would pay that over and over again every time. That's a good investment.
The hard part on that though then becomes it's not the $3,000 in ads to get those applicants. That's the first part of the cost. Then there's the whittling them down. Then there's the phone interview. Then there's the in-person interview. And what I always hated about it, like I used to outsource reviewing applicants to stay-at-home moms because I felt like a flipping moron after reading 10 resumes that and Dan, we've talked about this before. We need to have like forget about the bookkeeping beer and BS and best damn bookkeeping. Like we're gonna have the bad resumes podcast.
Oh yeah.
Like just
gotta have a bad resume.
Here's Jimmy. He said he was a parts specialist.
Bad resumes.
I don't know what parts he was putting in at McDonald's, but no, thank you. You know, like you read those and you literally say like we had a guy with like a 3-page interview or a 3-page resume, and one of the things he worked at an amusement park. And like summarize working at an amusement park in 3 sentences. The guy had like 27 bullet points. And it was like writing the SOP for turn the power on, unlock the gate, open the gate, poke the thing to say, kid, are you this tall, that tall? Like escort children, count people. Dude, it was unreal. It was like, bro, you operated an amusement park ride. Nobody died.
That's it.
That's it. That's all I need to know. Like, if somebody died on your watch, you suck. I'm not going to hire you to spray bleach.
And if they did, don't put that in here. Just tell me that nobody did.
Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that.
Blame your coworker. It was your coworker's.
Gosh. Okay. But so then here's the $1 million question, right? With automation being like that next big leap that's going to happen with human workforces, right? Like humanoid, animatronic labor forces. Like, are you guys? Well, maybe not so much Dan, you, but Rob, would you be willing to pony up like as much as you could scrape together to put one of those things in the field doing your work?
I think that for power washing, like this whole drone stuff, I think is stupid. I think you could, quite frankly, I think it would be way more trainable for literally a robot to spray bleach at a house, and you could cover surfaces and stuff. And granted, like that's gonna be a challenge there. I think Christmas lights is way too elaborate.
Too much design.
It's too much design to like in the quickly changing sides of the house and seeing this and that, and like I tried to get ChatGPT to like measure this, and like I took a picture of an office where we did the blue and white lights. I was like, count how many blue lights there are in this room, and there's like 45 blue lights, and it was like 2,300 lights. I was like, all right, put check mark, put an arrow near all of them, and every blue bulb had like 19 arrows next to it. It's like, this is one circular blue object.
You probably sees like a bunch of little reflections or something.
And granted, like when we look at the same question in 2026, that seemed like there's 39 bulbs, Rob. You're wrong. It wasn't 40, it's 39. And we're like, cool, that's great. That's fantastic. Like we have to be aware of it. And like, it's just a matter of trying to figure out like, hey, can I get this AI to go ahead and like for Christmas lights, measure the roof. I literally need to know measure all the gutters, measure all white lines on the house.
Mm-hmm.
You know, tell me what that is. And like, that's doable. That's 100% doable. It's a matter of how much does it cost? And then can you take that information as fast as possible, multiply it by a number, and send that to a client?
Depends on what color the fascia is.
Yes, it does. It does. It could be black gutters. Could be beige.
Or it could be like gutters on half, but the fascia on the rest of the half is white, but it's peaks and angles, and it measures that too. Because
or it could be purple and white. We haven't seen the purple and white picture, have we?
Oh yeah, no. Hold on.
I
meant to get to it, but then we started talking about David Wyatt, and it didn't feel like it was the right timing. So here, let me get back to it. Let me see. Here we go. You guys see that? See it?
That looks pretty damn blue. Blue and warm white is what I see.
It's blue and warm white, Andy. I can see.
We've had colorblind clients. They're like, you said when my roof, like, if it was brown, it would come down, but and they're like, we got out there, like, dude, your roof is white now. Like, all
is that C9 bulbs on the column, or is that minis?
That's
minis. That's minis and minis over here, and then
what's up with the two yellow minis then? Like, how did you just get two? I
don't think these are yellow minis. These are on the other roof line behind.
That's somebody else's front porch.
Okay. It's somebody else's house. Okay, that makes so much.
No, this is the same house, but this is like from the entry. I'm assuming he's by the door.
Yeah.
Right here's like the walkway, and so this is a roof line over the garage. I'm
guessing.
Oh,
okay, that makes
sense.
So
he's going every two. Do two. Yep, two yellows, two blues, two yellows. I'm pretty sure he's going for the Eau Claire Blue Golds. I think Andy's going for the Eau Claire Blue Golds. That's the yellow and blue. That's the yellow and blue team. I know. There it is.
Okay.
Was that a two? No, but on the employee thing, I think, Rob, I think you're making it harder than it needs to be. I think your process is your opportunity because the software exists, right? Like if you're using HireBus, you can get through a ton of people really quick and weed it out. Like you get a score, you can just cut them out, and you're gonna miss some people. But I think that's okay. I think if you miss 20% of the good people, totally fine. Just get more. Go get more. Right? Go spend another $1,000 and go get more on boosting the right ads. That will be a better use of the $1,000 than the $1,000 to pay somebody to go through. Like, I don't look at a resume. Don't look at a resume. Never look at a resume. It's just it's the reason why interviews are useless is because it's just people telling you what they want you to know, which is not useful. People telling you what they want you to know is not useful. That's why I think group interviews are so good, is because they don't know how to do them, right? All that happens when you interview people one-on-one or read a resume is all you get is who's good at doing a resume. That's not who's good at doing your job. People that are good at building resumes aren't good at pressure washing. So you should be filtering people. Like if they're good at building a resume, don't even interview them. They're not going to be good at your job because they're fucking good at building resumes. That's not the skill set you want.
Typos are good. That's what we need to look for.
Yeah, like that's not a skill set you need. Like actually, like in our maid service business, the worst person that ever interviewed for us was the best cleaner we ever had. I hired her out of desperation. I also hired people that interviewed great and were fucking terrible. And their resumes were great and they were fucking terrible. Like there's no consistency between good interviewing, good resumes, and good employees. Terrible resumes, terrible interviewing can still mean a good employee. Especially in a technician space. And so like, cause it's attitude and work ethic, right? Two things that you can't teach. You can teach people how to pressure wash. You can teach people how to hang holiday lights.
Yeah.
You can't teach attitude. You can't teach interest. And that's where I say, like, I think the group interview is the best thing. You don't need to do a phone interview. Like that's just a waste of time. You don't need to do a one-on-one interview. You need to get as many people and you need to gauge them without them realizing that you're gauging them. And that's where the group interview is the best, is because when you're group interviewing and you're doing a presentation to them, it's about, and this is Mike, this is where I disagree with the 10X bullshit, is they're like, you're not trying to buy them. You need them to buy you, because whoever's really bought into what you have, when they buy you, that's who's going to do whatever it takes, right? That's who, when you say, hey, we got a bunch of jobs to do this Saturday, who wants one? And you're like, nobody fucking said anything. The people that believe in your core values, that believe in you, that after that group interview, and I've had this happen a couple of times, I do that group interview and I have people emailing me saying like, I will follow you into war. I will follow you into this. I will go wherever you're going. I need to be a part of this team, right? I have to be a part of it. They don't even know what the hell we do. They just want to be a part of it. They want to go wherever the hell we're going. And that's what you need. You need people that want to follow the fuck out of you. That's who's on your team. Because we don't do anything so complicated you can't teach people. We don't want to hire people that think they know how to pressure wash. We need to hire people that have a really good attitude, that want to be a part of what we believe in, right? That believe the same stuff. And if you interview them one-on-one, or if you look at their resume, all that you're getting is what they want you to get. But if you group interview them, what you're actually getting is their nonverbals of what they tell you they're actually interested in. And if they're sitting there and you're telling stories about your business, and especially the things that suck, right? If you're telling them about the days that suck and you watch their body language, you know immediately if they're going to be a problem person that mails it in when it gets cold out, or that when you tell them they got to go back an hour away to go touch up this thing at a job, you know the person that's going to give you a hard time versus the person that's going to be like, you're right, I got to get my ass back out there. We got to take care of Mrs. Jones. And it's just all in their nonverbals.
So watching one of your group interviews when we're at Sales Boost and giving the testimonial in the background.
You didn't just watch, you interacted in
I
it.
interacted. I also, I was a testimonial right there. How much of that, I didn't see you taking actual notes of, box 1. No, box 2, you're good. Box 3, are you analyzing that afterwards, or is somebody else watching that afterwards to because it's great when I do the interview and Mike's sitting in there and Mike is paying attention to he's hearing, I'm hearing the words, he's reading you. He's playing poker against you and you don't even know that you got dealt in, but he's watching that. And I'm just the guy who's I'm just, hey, yeah, we're just chit-chatting.
I mean, I'm watching it all and making all my notes mentally, and then I'm letting them opt in, right? I can think that they interview great in the group interview, but if they don't opt in, they get no follow-up from me. They have to choose me. It can't be me choosing them, or it's always going to be me chasing them. Right? The precedent I said is I'm going to go with the 90%, but they have to, what's that movie Hitch where Will Smith is I'm going to go 90%. They have to finish it. Right. And because in the real world, that's exactly how it works in my business. Is I'm going to do 90% of the thing and I'm going to forget the last 10%. And I need my team to crush execution. They have to be the ones that get shit done, because I'm the entrepreneur. I'm the visionary. I'm going to create a bunch of shit, and I'm going to create a whole pile of things that need to be finished, and they have to be able to finish. They have to be able to finish that last 10%. And that's how I make sure that they finish that last 10%. And it's not for everybody. It's for sure not for everybody. But because I get hundreds, if not thousands of people, and I have a list 10 to 20 long for the next year or two,
because of your hair.
I'm always choosing the
Totally
best,
fair.
the best of the best of the best of the best. And they have to opt in. They have to choose me.
Dan, let me ask this question, right? Because this is the $1 million question. So, like, I believe you. Group interviews, I'm signed on. We'll do group interviews next year. We'll bring freaking as many people as we
This
can.
year,
I'll come and do them for you. I'll come over and do them for you.
This season's done with. There is nothing like.
I want no new elves.
We are going to skid across the finish line with maybe 2-3 wheels if we're lucky, right? Done.
Yeah, but you're gonna get there. You're gonna get there.
We'll do the group interview, and I'm 100% in belief in it. I'll bring as many people into one room as possible, and I'll tell them all the great
things. Don't do 40. Don't do 40. Andy had 40 show up to one and was like, "Uh-oh."
That's
like a seminar. It's over 20. It's really bad.
That is wild to even think that you could get 40 in a room. Okay, but
right. He sent it to 40. He didn't think 40 was going to show up. He sent it to 40 thinking 20 would show up, but then like 45 showed up because one guy brought all of his cousins. And they had a lot of cousins.
Crazy. But the real question I got to ask, right? So you get the people on board, right? You talked about the tremendous growth that happened when you brought the people that were subscribed to the culture and the vision. Do you start to see those two, that group that you brought in that's excellent and raising the temperature? Do they start feeding each other and then they start raising the tide?
Yeah, actually, my team decides who gets fired. I don't. They bring it to me, and then I set a meeting with them and say, like, let's talk about it. But they decide, and I deliver the message. It's happened with the last 4 people we've let go on our team. They bring it to me. Like, they have, and I tell them, like, when we bring people in, you guys have to, because I'm not there. I'm not in the weeds every day. You guys have to let me know if they can hang at your level. Because they have to be, like, we're best damn bookkeeping. We're not pretty fucking good bookkeeping. We're not super average bookkeeping. We're not, hey, we bookkeep when we want to and how we want to. Like, we have to be the best. And this is like part of the group interview thing. I tell people this right off the bat. It sucks that I'm about to do this thing. And this would be and I tell people, I'm like, this is the weirdest interview you've ever been a part of because I'm not going to ask you a question. I'm just going to tell you the ups and downs and highs and lows. I'm going to open up the hood of the business and you see everything. And you got to decide if you want to be a part of this or not. And if you do, I don't have a job for you for like a year. And I know that's not what you wanted to hear right now, but that's the truth because I need to know who's bought in, who wants in, who bleeds this blood. And if you do, we're going to work together someday. But I also have a bunch of other people that want to too. And so I got to decide who I'm going to call first. So what I'm trying to figure out today is who's super interested and who I'm going to call first. And I know that you don't want to hear that, but here's the one guarantee I can make to you. Like a promise until the end of time. You will never have a shitty coworker because I will always have 10 to 20 people banging down my door that can't wait to work here. And if somebody starts to suck even the littlest bit, they are gone. And that's not a threat. That is a promise to my great employees that we've all been there. We've all had shitty coworkers. We've all had people we needed to like pull their weight and we make the same amount of money as they do because like I've worked in the corporate world for a decade. Fucking sucks. I did so many other people's work. It sucks. I don't ever want to do that again. I don't want you guys to do that again. If you work your ass off and make a bunch of money, I have a structure where you get the upside. Like you make more money. Like, right, I do paper performance even in bookkeeping. You guys have to make the money. You guys have to get the upside. The business can't win because you're working harder. You need to win. We all have to win together. And because we're always going to have, I'm never going to stop recruiting. I don't care how far booked out I am. That door is always open. We're always going to be looking for awesome people. We're always going to be trying to bring the best reinforcements because the one guarantee I make to you is you will never have a shitty coworker. And if you do, I need to know about it immediately. And it's okay if we let them go. We're not like doing them a disservice. We're like freeing them to go do something they're great at. And this might
like blink if you have any shitty coworkers.
Ashley, don't watch. Ashley, don't watch.
Ashley's not my only coworker. No, you didn't say blink if you have a shitty business partner. If like blink if there's people on your management team that you have angst towards.
But I try to, so that message does a couple things. One is it lets them know I'm just fucking serious, right? Like you just can't.
You're making a bold claim though. Like that's like, Dan, man to man, like, I don't know if we could even, like, I've known they're a shitty coworker, and that's why I've canned them. But we've also had guys that, like, man, their manager who's doesn't want to work with this person. And I'm like, okay, like you're like, I can't. It's a struggle to quantify how much would have to be done for that to be true.
I mean, like, it's qualitative and not quantitative, right? So it's not like there's not a mathematical piece of it, but
there is.
The point to them and the point to my team is this, which is if you all of a sudden stop pulling your weight, like, you're just gone. And you need to know that you're gone. And you need to know, if you work here, you need to know I have 20 people ready to take your job immediately. And it's a promise to my good employees that if somebody's slacking off, they aren't going to have to cover for them, right? Mm-hmm. That I'm going to handle it. Because great employees, we all know this, right? We'll lose great employees if we keep bad employees. Our great employees will leave if we keep bad employees. Mm-hmm. And I've done that way too many times. I mean, like Blue Skies, we had 100 employees for a while, right? Across the country. I did that so many times in so many locations and fucked that up over and over and over again because I'm the eternal optimist. I think everybody's going to fucking come around. I think everybody's going to be great, right? You guys know me. I'm the Labrador sniffing everybody's butt. I can't help myself. And so like this, I had to be like super intentional about it in this business. And I need my employees to see that, like, they need to have the confidence in me that if they say, if collectively my account managers say, like, this isn't working out, we don't feel like it's the right fit, then I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to start making phone calls to the 20 people that I have lined up. I think it's probably 10 right now. Like, legit, I have 10 people lined up that want to come work here. I'm going to go get the one at the top of the list. And if they're not ready to go and the timing's not right, that's okay, because I'm going to call number 2. And number 1's still on my list, and the timing might not be right, but I'm going to call them the next time. And so I've got like my hierarchy of who I'm going to call first. And I just, if that starts to get under 10, I'm just going to go get another 1,000 applicants and start building that list up again. And it's weird to say, like, hey, I don't have a job for you for a year, but everybody understands it when you say it. Super not normal. And you would think nobody would be available, right? But like Ashley, who we just brought on the team, she's a stud. She's super good. And not your Ashley, Mike, but it's a different Ashley. Or maybe she's moonlighting. Maybe she's moonlighting, and she
has bookkeeping experience.
She probably could. She'd be great. But like Ashley, who we just brought on the team, super good fit, and just an awesome candidate. And I'd interviewed her like 8 months ago, and I reached out to her, and as this is like the timing of, hey Ashley, if it works out for you, you know, in a couple months we're gonna be needing somebody. And this was September, maybe August, and we just brought her on in early November. Like, it works out, right? When you're the right fit and they really are committed, like, I want to be a part of that, it will work. It might not work immediately, but you don't need it to. You need it to work, right? We're running a marathon. We're going to be in business for decades. If this person works for us in 2 years, great. But just like sales, right? Let's build a relationship now. And Sean at Harley Chill, like, this is a great, I don't know if it's quote or a mantra or whatever it is, but he's like, it's the biggest sale of your life, right? If there was a customer out there that was worth $200,000 and you knew they could do $200,000 and they were worth that for you, you'd be building that relationship for years to get that done. Well, that's your best employee. Your best employee is worth $200,000. They can generate that. So why aren't you building that now? Like, it's the biggest sale of your life. It's the biggest customer you're ever going to have. Like, go build it.
That does say a lot, because I think for us, like, some of the things that we had when looking back to the first couple of years we brought employees on to like where we're at now, like, expectations were so low back then. Like, fog in a mirror was like, welcome to Washmaster.
Yeah, you can do it. You got this.
You know, and then like all of a sudden, like the results and the production that they could deliver was like dog shit, right? And then we're like, what's wrong? How can they suck so bad? Like, they said they wanted to work here. I thought that meant that they were going to be great at the job because they want this job. And, you know, but now we like look at it and we're like, wow, these people are so much better than they ever were. And then like you just can't help but have just a little bit of hard feelings at times thinking about the lost opportunities around the way. So it's like, if the takeaway is raise the damn expectation right here, right now, and then look for that employee period, like that sounds like it's a pretty easy equation to do math with.
I'm conflicted when I look back at it because I have the same realization of like, man, if I would have known then what I know now, and in all of our businesses would have done then what I do now, I don't think I would have gotten out of maid services. I don't think I would have sold 7 of our businesses, which would have sucked because then I'd be doing that instead of on here talking to you guys right now. So it's like, I don't regret it. But I'm glad I learned the lessons that I did, and I'm sure I haven't figured it all out, right? There's still like always runway to keep getting better and keep getting better. But the one, and again, it's not a regret, but it's like, man, I'll never do that again, is I will never underinvest or never stop spending money on finding the best employees in the world. And you guys know this, right? Like, you're better as a father. You're better as a husband. You're better as a leader because you don't have like the stress that we get when employees no-show or are running late. Our team feels that, our spouse feels that, our kids, like you said, Mike, like your kids feel that.
Yeah.
If you can take that all away, and all it means is you're spending $10,000 more on the right employees. And by the way, if you spend $10,000 more a year on the right employees, on recruiting or whatever it is, you're going to make 10 times more than that back, right? Of all the times they don't fuck up your equipment, of all the times they don't call in, of all the referrals your customers give you because you have the best employees in the world. Like, if you spent 10 grand on Indeed next year, it will pay for itself over and over and over again. It sounds like a lot, right? But like, it's the best investment you can make. It's better than your marketing money. Like, employees and customers are easy to get. Employees are hard to get. So if you have the right system for it and you get the best employees in the world, it makes business just a lot more fun, and your marriage a lot more fun, and parenting a lot more fun, because you end up being like, I don't know, everybody showed up today and they're doing a really good job, and now I just don't even know what to do. Like, should I feel guilty?
That gets back to Ben though. Like, Ben's like, so
yeah,
I kind of fired myself from my business. I'm gonna go do DoorDash.
Ben.
Dude, oh, this is so awesome, man. I just picked up like 2 more deliveries, and then like I'll get paid to go home. Ben, just go home, dude. Just
go find something else to break. Do
you want to create another Maryland and solve my shit, Ben? Thanks.
Ben's hilarious though. Ben also can't sit still. Like, we're all ADD. Ben's ADD, and it's just hilarious to watch him when he's like, "Oh, I don't know what to do with myself, but I need to do something. So here I go."
I no longer have an inner monologue.
This is something I'm about to start doing. It's pure entertainment. Somebody should just follow that guy around with a camera. It'd be a great reality show.
Yeah, it'd be bleep, bleep, bleep.
Yeah,
bleep.
A little bit of bleeping. Darlene checking in said, we're talking about employees, said, when you send them to clean your house, she's got a home cleaning business. When you send them to clean your house and they fail hard, if they can't do the job for the boss,
dude. Darlene, 100% there, right?
Oh wait, I forgot to screw up her name. Sorry, Darlene. I forgot to mispronounce your name wildly. But
Darlena. No, literally, we had the guys go wash our house, and like, our house is a good training ground for Christmas lights, for washing, for sales, all the things. Because it's not just a straight up like, this is our square box that we live in. The guys go over and do it, streak up all the windows, do a shitty job on this and this, and I'm like, he's like, even like literally on our Ring camera, he's like, it's not even that dirty. I don't even know what we're doing over here. And it was like, you're at my house. Did I have to tell you that I was going to watch what you're doing? Mike, like, this is the thing. It's like,
I can't even hold it together.
Dude,
you got on the Ring camera saying that?
Yeah. Like, I don't even know what we're doing here. It's like, you're cleaning, because I should not have a even remotely dirty house. I shouldn't. We do all the training. We have walkable roofs. We have pitch hopper roof. We have goat roof. Like, we have all the things we do it so that last year I could write off a lot of landscaping repair for training and Christmas light improvement and all the things. But it's like, I mean, this guy, like, that was one of his like last couple of jobs was that, and it was like, dude, you screwed up on my house. And he's like, oh, well, the other guy didn't really do a good job rinsing. You're the lead tech.
Yeah, which is also your fault if the other guy doesn't do a good job rinsing.
Yeah, man, it's not even that dirty. Then why'd you even throw any bleach in there, man? Because like just throw some water. You know, like
yeah. Good try though.
Yeah.
Mike, I got so we're like pushing 3 hours. Not that I'm surprised.
This is like a Joe Rogan style podcast, man.
It's when people are like, hey,
what is this our longest ever? I think it is.
There was one time you weren't on, Rob, but Ben and I did a podcast with the guys from Tethered who make tree hunting saddles, and we went over 3 hours. And the only reason we ended, we were having such a good time. The only reason we ended was we all had to pee so bad. It was like, which is why I was just like, all right, I got to pee real bad.
A few minutes ago, so you know.
Yeah. I saw you get up. As the host, I feel like obligated to stay here, but I do need to pee real bad.
But this gets back to like OG shows when like Dan and I would be on there, and Bobby's like, all right, listen, we're done with the official show.
We're going off, and then we're going to start another live if you just want to hang for the BS session.
And then we're going to just fully unload, and it'll be, you know, Springer Uncensored.
I'm game for doing some BS session, but it is after midnight for you, Rob, so I don't want to keep you.
I also have like a 12-volt pump to install tonight, and I have I'm missing a whole lot of these estimates. Where are they showing? 3, 4.
I can feel Mike's anxiety about Rob's schedule right now. I can feel it.
Not okay.
I have
Rob's weather is different though. Rob still has weeks to go. Mike, you and I up here, like we're done in the next few days. It feels like with what the weather's about to do. We're supposed to get like 7 inches.
Just bring everybody down. Bring Ashley. We got work.
No.
Yeah.
No, we're good. We're good, man. It's Thanksgiving. We're good. Yeah, Thanksgiving. We're good.
It's gonna be great. It's coming down in July. I mean, because we'll be slammed, and we better not be.
Don't be slammed in July. No, well, even if you are slammed, I'm gonna come and do some fucking group interviews next July. Mike, when you start hiring in the spring, I'm gonna come and do some group interviews for you, and I'm just gonna pretend to be Mike.
Like we're gonna hold him to that. Jairus, we would also like the recording of this, and I would like it like what is the what's the legal term? Like I want this it's not embossed, but like I want this certified.
Watermark.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Notarized. We gotta get it notarized.
There we go. Notarized, certified. Yeah.
Here's my question for you, Mike, and you can answer for you. You don't need to answer for Ashley because she might just keep doing what you guys are doing. But this question is specifically to you. This is my closer. Let's say not that money's not an object. You got to do something that generates money, but whatever. It's the thing. But it's not the thing. But you can't run. I'm just gonna chalk the field as this. You can't run a home service company. You got it just doesn't exist. Home services, not a thing. Doesn't even exist. But the world's your oyster. You can go do anything tomorrow and start making money doing a thing that you'd love to go do. What would you go do tomorrow?
I don't know. I'd probably sell I'd sell like a product, right? Like I would go hard into the lab and come up with some sort of better mousetrap of something, right? Solve a problem. And then I would take that thing to a national sales audience and sell a product to solve a problem. That right there is where I would spend my time and put my passion into. I love service, and service, I really enjoy taking care of people, but I've always wanted to know what it feels like to actually sell a real physical product and that solves somebody's problem, you know?
Do you give a shit? Do you give a shit what the problem is? Or is it just like, could the problem be shit? Like, could it literally be like, hey, we got a feces problem. I'm gonna come up with something to solve this feces. Like, do you care what the problem is at all? Or is it just It's got to be a product solving a
I
problem.
think
It's toilet paper, damn it.
Like any dang problem. I mean, you look at like, what is that Scrub Daddy thing that went on Shark Tank, and the guys like sell like friggin' $100 million worth of these stupid sponges a year. Like, and sponges have been around for freaking ever. Like, it's an argument is even a better damn sponge, but like it solves somebody's fucking problem. Like that in itself would be a true joy to just go into the wild and start with my notebook and just start observing all the fucking problems around the world. And then in itself, pick one problem and go after it.
That's fun. That's very like entrepreneurial of you too. I like the approach of just like watching the problems and deciding which one you're like, yep, that's the one I like. I like that problem. I'm gonna get after that problem.
Exactly.
I haven't started working on one, but I have identified one, and I think I'm gonna do it. One time, this is like a weird oddball offshoot thing.
Weakashbows.com.
When I was back working in the corporate world doing nerdy accounting shit, I was an accounting recruiter. And so I'd go to universities and talk to college kids and try to get them to come to our corporation, whatever. But I went somewhere and just presented on entrepreneurialism, which what a weird topic for an accounting person to go present on. But like I was back at Eau Claire, UW Eau Claire, Blue Golds, hence the Blue Gold comments with Andy's life. And I was presenting on just like, don't let an idea go to waste, right? Like see it through. We all have these ideas that we just like think of and then don't do anything with. And so like take it somewhere, take it to anywhere, but don't just think it and then let it fest. Just don't let it like fall apart and fester and turn into nothing. And one guy came up to me, he's like, hey, like wireless earbuds, man. Like you think it's a thing? And I was like, man, I had the same thought. I just like hilariously, like I feel like you're calling me out right now because I hate my earbuds. And this is when like it was just like everything was on a wire, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know what the technology is, right? So he and I started collaborating on it. And then I went ahead and like drew up a design and took it to an invention company, and they like presented hey, we're gonna go pitch this to Jasco. I don't even know if Jasco still exists, but they used to make really shitty electronic, like General Electric crap, right? Like I don't think any of them still make these types of products, right? Apple and Bose and like some companies that actually make good shit made Bluetooth stuff. But he and I were working on this idea in like 2003, 2004. And that like, I'm sure they all were too, right? Like I didn't know how Bluetooth stuff worked. I just knew it was a problem. And I was like, I work out a lot and it sucks having these headphones and like trying to carry around this device.
CDs that skip when you're trying to listen to them.
Yeah. Right. And so like we worked on this problem and we like, I spent actually like probably $1,000 on getting a design drawn up, and then we were going to go present it to companies. But I just didn't like the companies that they could present it to. I was like, this isn't legit. You're just trying to take my money now. So one of the hardest things in business is to say no.
Yeah.
Right. Like to pull the plug on that stuff. But I kind of went down that path for a minute of like, here's a product, here's a problem. It can't be that hard to make earbuds that fit people's ears. And all of our ears are different, but they can't be that different. Like it's not like mine's an innie and yours is an outie. Like they're all pretty much fucking innies. So we should be able to figure out how to create an earbud that fits.
Pretty ugly looking for an outie ear.
I don't know what it would look like, but it'd be weird. But we'll figure it out. If like, hey, boxers, man, cauliflower ear. They kind of got outies sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
For the boxers, like a bigger muff thing. But it's funny you say that because I did go down that path for a minute.
It would be a true joy to take. I mean, and obviously you're talking about a scenario where the economics of like paying for my lifestyle or my family's lifestyle, you know, that problem is solved, and I get to
Ashley's still running Washmasters.
Yeah,
she says, Mike, you got to get your ass out of here.
Yeah, like I've exited, and now I'm like in like wandering problem solving mode. Like that in itself would be a true exciting place to be, where you can just unshackle from your economic responsibilities and just go out into the world to just search for something to fix.
You know what you would end up fixing?
Probably something with window cleaning or
yeah, you'd end up fixing something in the industry, and then
back to the damn watering hole I already been drinking out of.
And so like that is a common thing that happens, right? Is like it in a funny way, it happened to me, right? Like I was running maid services, I was running window cleaning and pressure washing companies, and then it wasn't even intentional, just people started asking me for help on bookkeeping stuff. And so I just started helping them, and then I started helping more people. And I was like, oh shit, I'm helping so many people. I should actually like make this intentional. And now I serve my competitors, right? Like my competitors became my customers in a funny way. And I can do it nationally. If I could really do it internationally, if I felt like doing that, there's too much juice to squeeze. But in a funny way, like that tends to be a common thing, right? You look at responsibly. Kurt used to clean windows. Then he solved the thing for himself, right? You look at John Majak, marketing. You look at Michael Gregory, marketing. Like both had experience in window cleaning things, and then started doing window like marketing for other. And so it's like a weird avenue. You would just figure out a new water fed pole thing, or you would figure out a new pressure washing thing, whatever the case is. And you tend to turn your competitors into your customers because you know the problems they're dealing with, because they're the same problems you've been dealing with. And you're an expert in solving them.
Yeah, but I also like have a lot of like, I have trepidation about doing that kind of stuff too, because I feel like, well, because it's been predatory. If you look at some of the vendors that come into the marketplace over the last, like, let's just say for argument, probably 3 years, right? It has been borderline predatory.
Yeah, there's some shysters. Because
it's not, those are not problem solving. They are pitching just something that somebody else has repackaged. And I'm talking about a
6 weeks,
like
man.
Judd West Flow Pro, game-changing invention. You know, that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about.
Yep. Yeah. There's more and more of it. And it tends to happen like as industries are maturing too, is they're like, oh, let me make some shit up and try to get a piece of this coaching pie. Or like, so somebody had said to me, like, I don't remember when it was, like, well, now like there were coaching groups, and now there's coaching groups for coaching groups, and now there's coaching groups for the coaches that want to coach coaching groups, and it just turned into a fucking coaches circle jerk.
If you buy my book about buying books, you can buy my book.
Yeah, I'm gonna write a book about how to write your own book.
It's a course on building courses to sell courses.
Yeah,
would you like to buy this course?
So let's call a shot, right? So it's been coaching, it's been building skids and equipment. What's the next gold rush in our to
it's already books. It's already books, man. People very unqualified to write books have been writing books.
Writing books?
It's already books, I think. I don't know. Books might already be too late.
Here's the bad thing about the books, Dan. And you guys mentioned AI earlier on. There was somebody recently that published a book, and I read the
made like a bestseller type of thing too, didn't it?
Yes. And I think you and I both know who we're talking about, I believe. I read that, and it was. I still haven't. I grabbed it the other day. It's still like sitting in a pile of other books that I haven't read. I don't want to challenge somebody's.
Yeah, integrity. Rob, do you want to say that? Do you want to finish this sentence?
I do, because I would truly say that the book that I read seemed like it was so AI. It was so repetitive and not even getting to. Again, at the end of the day, it is about people knowing, liking, and trusting you. It really and truly is. And the book repeated the same thing over and over and over again. And I really and truly hope that I'm wrong. I truly hope that I'm wrong. Because what's scary to me on that is, if it is as AI driven as I think it is, and I really and truly, like, I read it and was like, good grief, this was so ChatGPT. There was no qualitative stories that said, this time me and Ashley, this time Dan and I, this time we went. There was nothing in that book that made it anything that wasn't.
Yeah, there was no story.
There was nothing personal in it, which is what makes me like. It's fun. Like, I had ChatGPT was doing social media like content posts for my VA, and I was like, I don't like that all this shit's poetic. Make it like Gary Vaynerchuk is writing this. And I'm like, I freaking love that shit. And he's like, this is an epic ass tree. It would kick every other tree's ass on the block. It's like, that's what I want. I don't want, like, this is the warm glow of purple and white lights on your house that just makes you think of the Grinch. It's like, no. Gary Vaynerchuk, say this is an awesome ass tree. Andy Frisella, tell me that without cursing, because I'm not going to put that in my social media post. But that's
a bummer to hear that, man. Because I mean, I haven't read that book, so I know who you're talking about, but I also have not read that book. But I will say that, like, if that in fact is the next gold rush that like people are going to go chase down, and now there's just going to be a flood of, literary experts stating how excellent their experience is in this industry, and
I think
it's a bummer, man.
I think we've already started seeing the windfall. It's actually the number one thing, because I'm a total contrarian. Like, I think I could write a fucking book.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't use AI for shit. I don't like it at all. I can write a book. I would write a book on all the shit I present on and all the stuff I say on this podcast all the time. But
somehow I manage.
The minute everybody else starts doing it, I'm just like, nah, dog, not interested, not jumping on that bandwagon. Like, if anybody's just gonna throw some prompts in AI and publish a book, I don't want to be a part of that thing. Like, even if my thing isn't that thing, like, I don't even want to be a part of it. And I like, I'm also just not a bandwagoner. I'm very much like, oh, everybody's doing it. Guess what? I'm gonna do the exact opposite thing as that, and I'm gonna unpublish a book.
But dude, what sucks on that is like, I'm OG YouTube. Go ahead. I'm gonna say that too. We're talking about saying stuff.
You actually are a creator, though.
I am on that, and at the end of the day, I've probably made about $1,000 in total lifetime YouTube earnings. And it's a damn shame, because the amount of money that other people who went on there with like literally horrible advice, but they sold that shit and made 30, 40, 100 grand. I don't know what they made. They made 100x what I did. There was a time where it was like, man, if I can pay for one trip to Sam's Club, it's worth it. That's phenomenal. Now it's like, hey, here, Rob, here's your $45 a month. Good luck spending that on half a tank of gas. Like,
a couple cases of Busch Light to me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Sponsor the podcast. Couple cases.
And that's where it's like, it's cool that, to maintain like my reputation on it, but it's like, that's cool. Now you have a poor reputation. You didn't make any money on it. You see these other guys that come in, it's like, hey man, buy my postcards, buy this, buy this, buy this. And it's like, they didn't care. They're sleeping well at night on their, $5,000 purple plum, whatever pillow mattress thing that they have out there. Like, that's what sucks. Like, that's what I hate about it. I don't know.
Well, but you're calling character, right? Like, character is not an easy one to maintain for a large majority of the population. There is far too few people that can actually look themselves in the mirror and say that they have strong character. So there's that.
But some people with more, not with more money, but like, if you're making that money for that, like, and it's not even to say these guys are giving out wrong advice. Like, there's some of the stuff that I watch on the videos and I'm like, wow, you guys watch this and enjoy it because it was entertaining. It's horrible technique. Horrible. Nobody should edge in a driveway before they use the surface cleaner. Use the surface cleaner and do absolutely no edging. Like, hit your four corners and be done.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, that guy's got, 70,000 subscribers or whatever they may have. Like, I'm not following. Like, I gave up on so much of it. Like, that's the sad part of it.
Money for nothing, chicks for free.
Yes. I got to pee really bad, and I think we should end on that. Money for nothing and chicks for free.
We hit the 183-minute mark.
We did. We went long and hard, man.
That's what she said.
I hope I get invited back, man. I hope I didn't burn it all up on my one visit.
Dude, it's a marathon episode. You don't make it to 3 hours without needing to do more of it. I think we did good. I do need to get. As Rob's talking about the shit he has to do. I have like 2 bookkeeping pricing things I got to get done before.
Oh, that's it.
I mean, like, and a bunch of tax stuff, but as like, and again, just like the work's gonna be there tomorrow too. I'm gonna wake up
in the beginning talking about follow up. 1 year in November, we did $750,000 in estimates.
Jesus balls.
We did like $160,000 in revenue. Nobody was pre-qualified. We just threw shit against every single wall and the door and the windows and your neighbor's car. It didn't matter.
Go.
And that's where, folks, if you want to end on this, follow up and close those deals.
Yeah. Follow up.
There you go.
Up.
And
you're gonna have prostate issues if you don't get off this call, bro.
Right. You get your money for nothing and you're pissed for free. All right. Maharas, thank you so much for hanging out. Tell Ashley we says hi. Rob, thanks for hanging in there and hanging out with us too, man. Yep. Appreciate you. Business nerds, you guys know what to do. Work smarter and harder. Go earn yourself some pride. We'll see you tomorrow on our normal Wednesday radio show. No tomorrow night show because we did it tonight. That's how that works. Peace out.